Good evening. This is the Dania Beach City Commission regular meeting. It is Tuesday, February 25th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Can you please call the roll?
Mayor Llewellyn.
Here.
Vice Mayor Odman.
Yes.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
City Manager Garcia.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
And can you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? And can we please take a moment of silence? Oops, thank you. Next is presentations and special event approvals. The first item is Dania Point update by Kim Butler, Director of Marketing, Dania Point. Yay. Hi, Kim.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to present this evening. February has been a fantastic month for Dania Point. We've had 4 different openings that we've been able to celebrate. The Tommy Bahama Marlin Bar, Cabana, a beautiful ladies boutique, Bolero just opened, as well as the Pandora store. And if I can do a shameless plug for Pandora, they have a beautiful charm that has the compass in it, looks just like Dania Point. So we're very excited about that. There'll be a rush on those. And also, if you go to the Tommy Bahama store, they have a beautiful white linen shirt that says Dania Point, Florida on it. So you can check that out as well. There's other activity that continues to go through Dania Point. The Avery Dania Point Apartments are activating their leasing now, and so that is now information that has become available. And from I-95, you can certainly see the steel of the new Regal Cinemas that are being built as well. So progress is moving right along. We've had a number of events throughout the month of February. We titled it our February Festival of Fun. It was a music series along with street performers and different a cappella groups that on the weekends entertain many of the guests that are staying in our hotels, that are arriving from cruises or going off onto cruises. We had DJ Ron G was there, and we ran a little bit of a social media contest with that, where we encouraged everyone to take their pictures with our entertainment throughout the different weekends for a chance to win a $100 gift card to one of the fantastic stores at Dania Point. This past weekend, given the weather forecast, we actually flipped it from Saturday to Sunday, and that turned out to be a really good move. And this Saturday, we'll wrap up that series with the live band Stereo Mix, and they will be performing on the balcony at Bolero. So we're very excited about that. This past Saturday, we had the opportunity to host about 15 different elite travel agents on a fam tour from the GFL-CVB, which is the Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau. These are elite travel agents from Minnesota and from Texas that came to Dania Point. They had a dinner at Padrino's, which was fantastic, and part of their experience was to see an authentic Southern Florida and really showcase Dania Beach and Dania Point, and they all were really blown away by a great experience there. We had on Friday, March 6th coming up, we have a topping off ceremony for the Marriott hotels, which will be wonderful. And then throughout the months of March and April, we're also going to be hosting different social media influencers and different media outlets to come and see what is going on, what's happening. You know, the feedback that we've gotten is that people are very, very excited, and we're thrilled that everyone is having a good experience. Our other activities throughout March include hosting the South Florida chapter of the International Council of Shopping Centers. We expect to bring about 100 to 125 industry people in for their quarterly meeting, a little networking, and a tour of Dania Point as well. And then 2 days later, we will be the site this year, and we're very excited about this, for the Female Brewfest festival that is coming. This is something that I know is coming up later in the agenda, but I also want to congratulate the event organizers for getting so much local publicity, regional publicity, and also national publicity. So that's great for Dania Point and great for Dania Beach. We are also going to have, yeah, I think that's worth clapping for, too. We are also looking to start up a boot camp on the AstroTurf right between Cooper's Hawk and Rodizio Grill with our UFit tenant. That will be there. That'll happen on Wednesday nights, and we're hoping to kick that off sometime in the month of March. And looking ahead to April, we are excited about our Easter egg extravaganza, where we'll have a series of different events and Easter egg hunts for kids of all ages. So stay tuned for more details on that. Just in terms of live music, you can hear live music at Padrino's every Saturday night from that they're hosting inside their restaurant. And the Tommy Bahama Marlin Bar is also featuring live music outside on their patio Tuesday through Saturday from 3 to 7. Just to wrap it up really quickly, wanted to also let you know that we have started in earnest a strategic marketing plan to call attention to Dania Point. We have a new billboard that debuted this month that is located on US 1. It is a left-hand read and for southbound traffic. So it's a directional that drives people to Old Griffin Road and to Bryan Road as a way to find Dania Point. So we're very excited about that. I have some pictures in case you haven't seen it, and I'll be happy to pass those out. Our freebie service along the beach in Fort Lauderdale Beach and A1A and Las Olas is still running, and that is really a nice little trick opportunity there to create some awareness for some of our brands and our location as well. And then also starting this month, we're going to have some taxi tops that'll be running. So between Port Everglades, the airport, and all around town, you'll be seeing Dania Point and pointing your compass to Dania Beach. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Kim. Great. Next is key mid-year updates, Assistant City Manager Sosa Cruz.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, residents. Candido Sosa Cruz, Assistant City Manager. Tonight I'm going to be providing some updates on some key initiatives and projects that the city team is working on, and we're excited to share this information with you. The first one is going to be street lighting. One of the key points or the main points that gets brought up to us every time we go to a HOA meeting or anytime we speak or meet with residents, it's street lighting and lack of street lighting. Little history behind that is, following Hurricane Wilma in 2005, FPL primarily concentrated on hardening its existing infrastructure and not adding to it. Therefore, it left a void throughout the city as far as adding streetlights. The city stepped in, and in order to try to fill that void, we started implementing solar lights throughout the city. Unfortunately, there's still a lack of streetlights and a need for streetlights. Our Public Services Department did a survey internally and determined that there's a need for at least 100 to 100 streetlights, and the majority of them on the west side of the city. As everyone knows, lighting is a public safety concern. It falls under our one of the issues under CPTED, which is the crime prevention through environmental design. We met with some of the consultants that specialize in this, and it was determined that in order to install anywhere between 100 and 120 streetlights, it was going to cost the city $1.2 to $1.5 million. Therefore, we came up with different scenarios in order to meet this goal, which is either spreading it out throughout 3 to 5 years, every year budgeting a certain dollar amount and installing it throughout the city. And we've even met other private companies that their specific job is to find efficiencies in the lighting and electricity, and through these savings, being able to finance all the street lights at once and then financing it long term. We're still determining which avenue to go. We're going to be coming back to you with an update on that. But as of right now, we did do an assessment citywide. We have determined that there's a need for streetlights. Now we need to come back for how are we going to fund this need, because it is a large need. It's again between 1.2 and 1.5 million dollars. We did meet with a company called Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls does specialize on streetlights, on saving on electricity, on LED lighting, and also financing, and coming up with a plan to do everything at once. So again, once we do have some follow-up meetings, we'll come back to the commission and be able to provide an update on that. The second point is speed humps. Speed humps is a very popular subject in our city, as everyone knows, and throughout in the past years, the city would get a complaint that there's a need for speed humps due to speeding, due to a lot of traffic cutting through the area, and they would go out there, install a speed hump. Unfortunately, they were quick to react, but they did not have they did not follow any engineering standards. They did not follow Broward County's engineering standards as far as height, width, length, proximity to an intersection, and signage approaching the speed hump. Those are all, there's currently engineering standards that typically cities follow. They adopt the standards and then they follow them. In our city, we were quick to implement speed humps, but we were not consistent in any type of standard. So our Public Services Department is working with the county and adopting the standards. And in doing so, we did an assessment of all the speed humps in the city. In the city, there's currently approximately 66 speed humps. 46 of those speed humps are on the east side of I-95, and there's 20 on the west side. Out of the 46 that are on the east side, 43 of them are non-compliant, meaning they're not in compliance with Broward County's standards, engineering standards. Therefore, we have to go back and fix this. There's going to be a cost to this. In order to fix these 66 speed humps, it's a cost between $250,000 and $300,000. So what we're looking at is before we start implementing new speed humps in the city, we recommend that we correct and bring to compliance the current speed humps that we have in our city. We've been meeting with our city attorney, we've been meeting with our public services director, and we all agree that this is the best approach before we move forward and implement any new speed humps. Also, we do have to, again, like I said, adopt the Broward County Traffic Division's engineering standards, and we should also adopt the manual for uniform traffic control devices, which calls for an advisory sign 100 feet prior to approaching the speed hump. This is our standard, this is our typical business that other cities do when they implement speed humps.
Candido, there's
Yes,
some
ma'am.
questions on that, I believe. Commissioner, I'm not sure if it was Commissioner James or Commissioner Brandamari that was first, so.
I'll take it. You can wait. I'm older. Candido, you said something that is really bothering me. You said that you want to do a study before you even put down one speed bump or hump or whatever it's called.
No, we did internally, we did an assessment of all of our speed humps. That's
Right.
the 66. What we want to do now is go back and fix the ones that are non-compliant.
Okay, well, I would like you to consider ones that have been terrifically dangerous on a street. I don't know, I think it was 54th or something like that, but you should revise that and say, gee, I'm going to put a traffic light there only after 10 people get killed. No, that don't work that way. If we realize that, and it's brought to our attention, that this is a very dangerous spot and we need that speed bump now, we should address it, and then you
Absolutely.
should go on your merry way of looking for other things to do. But I don't believe in leaving something behind. And we don't have a quote on how many people have to die
And we
in a
want,
spot.
anytime there's a public safety issue, we address it immediately. If any complaints that we receive that there should be a speed hump, there should be some traffic calming device, we inspect it, we talk to the Broward County to make sure that we could install it, and then we move forward on it. But
Well,
before
I'll call
we,
you and give you the address tomorrow of
Absolutely.
the ones that I'm getting all the phone calls from, all right? But thank you. It's very good what you said. And about FP&L, you were right. They think they were so great, and I don't care if you love FP&L. They charge me too much for my electric anyway. Right, sir, you're right. When they came back, all they did was put bulbs in where the bulbs blew out. But they did not add to our street lighting or enhancement at all. And I agree with solar lighting. If that's the answer, we must do that, look over, and get it done.
Right.
That's important for safety, especially since we have so many more residents. We start off with 30,000 of our residents, and we're beyond 30,000 now. So we need more of everything.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner James?
Yes. In regards to the speed lighting, I know I've sent several emails to staff, especially on 54th Court, Southwest 54th Court, where I'm sure all of us have been getting a lot of complaints, a lot of issues. I walked that area. They don't even have sidewalks, and it's a lot of kids that travel that area. And so I understand that we have speed humps that are, and that's why it's on for discussion, because I understand we do have speed humps that need to be addressed. However, this is a safety concern.
Correct.
And out of all of the complaints I've received about different ones in different areas, this is one that, because I was on this street and the cars were going down that street at 65 miles an hour with the speed trailer there, and there were kids walking in the street, no sidewalk, I do not want to wait until we get a cost estimate and then go and fix all of the other 46 speed humps before we address something that they just had a fatality a couple of weeks ago there. They've had numerous amounts. I mean, we've been trying to address Southwest 40th Avenue as well, and I know that, you know, a few years ago, maybe about 3, almost 4 years ago, we signed the plan for the MPO to do those improvements, but I do understand that it takes 5 years of implementation after you vote for it for you to see that. So I know our hands are kind of tied in that area, but it's going to be my recommendation or my ask to this commission that we at least take care of this one street that has disabled children, no sidewalks, very, very busy. If you receive the pictures that I received from this past weekend, it's crazy. And so that's going to be my only amendment to the plan that you all are going to implement. And it's hard for me to believe that Fred Bletcher or whoever else that has been doing our speed humps has not done it in code. That's really hard for me to think that they're consulting with this city if they're not doing what they're doing properly. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we did receive several emails and phone calls. I know we received one from yourself concerning 54th Court. And our public services went out there, inspected it. They did also see a lot of speeding on that road. We know that there's other plans in the works right now where the road there might be something else happening where it might slow down vehicles. So we're just sitting back and seeing what happens with the development, but we are ready to go in because we already got a cost estimate on the speed hump. So we are ready to implement one if the road stays open, and we're going to look into it definitely further.
Vice Mayor also had a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I think we're all on the same page that, so are we in agreement that not just for 54th Street, but for any street, that it is not necessary for us to not put the correct speed humps in? Surely we are capable of
Absolutely.
fixing everything that is
If
wrong
one
by one, and parallel to that at the same time.
If there's a
as the
public
new
safety
ones-
issue, that's going to trump our game plan. Definitely, we're going to address immediately. But the goal is to fix what we already have in inventory.
Okay, but as they come in, we're not putting any
Correct.
kind of moratorium on them?
Correct.
We're-
No.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I
City
wanted
Manager?
to add to that because we did spend a considerable amount of time last week and also this week on that area of 40th and on 54th Court. I also spoke to my finance director. We have the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, LETF, and we have some monies at LETF that we've identified to be able to bring some traffic calming devices that could be paid through this fund. So we're going to be extremely proactive, but I just wanted to make sure that we let you know that we wanted to correct all the ones that need to come into compliance. But if any opportunities come our way for us to make our city safer, we definitely want to be proactive. So we are identifying that pot of money from Law Enforcement Trust Fund to be able to look at, if not speed humps, any other possible traffic calming initiative. But we'll price them both out.
And if I can just add one thing, in that particular area as well that we've been talking about here, and anything out west, in fact, a lot of places don't have sidewalks. That's another issue. I know we have to look at some of the streets you can't because they're not wide enough. Lighting, you already mentioned that, and then the speed humps on top of that. So I think it might be good if we can somehow package this all together and somehow put something together. I know it's going to be expensive to do it, but it might be beneficial to see if there's some way that we could do a combination of things, because it's all public safety.
Right.
It all comes down to public
Absolutely.
safety.
And Mayor, you know, that's one of the, those are one of the items that the Oasis project tackles. They look at landscaping, they look at street lighting, they look at sidewalks, it looks at crosswalks, it looks at driveway aprons. So when we do find a location where there's that need, those are the items that fall under the Oasis bucket. So definitely, every year that we're budgeting $200,000 for an Oasis project, that's what we're looking at. Does it need streetlights? Can we clear up landscaping? Again, these are all public safety concerns. Sidewalks, are there sidewalks? Do the sidewalks need to be improved? Driveway aprons, again, this is a stormwater improvement where the water will drain instead of flooding. So these are all items covered under, if we're able to increase the budget, definitely we'll be able to provide more Oasis projects throughout the city.
Thank you.
Another item to provide an update is the Southeast Drainage Project. There's been a lot of concern, a lot of comments, especially after this last heavy rainfall where many streets in the southeast area flooded. I just want to give back a little, I just want to discuss a little bit of the history. The Southeast Drainage Project was first identified in 2004. Afterwards, Phase 1 was completed, and Phase 1 included the Meadowbrook Pump Station and several new pipelines at a cost of $1.2 million. Phase 2 commenced. An RFQ went out, we received bids, but unfortunately, due to an OIG report and its findings, in December 2018, the bids were invalidated. A new leadership comes into public services, and a new RFQ goes out to engage professional services under the CCNA, which is the Competitive Negotiation Act. That's to prepare a design criteria package to be used to bid out the Southeast Drainage Project. A list of RFQ respondents were shortlisted, and on tonight's agenda, under 8.1, there's a company by the name of WSP Inc. This company will develop a design criteria package for the subsequent selection of a design-build firm to do a design-build construction project. Why am I saying this? Because this is one step closer to the goal of completing this Phase 2 Southeast Drainage Project. Southeast Drainage Project is also the global project match for our FEMA grants. As you are aware, we've been awarded 3 FEMA grants, one for the City Hall hardening project, one for the fire station, and one for the substation. Right now, the grant covers 80%, the city is providing 20%. Once the Southeast Drainage Project gets approved by FEMA, these other 3 projects will be 100% covered because the Southeast Drainage Project will be the global match. Now, one concern the city team has is that in 2016, when this resolution was approved for the Southeast Drainage Project, the funding for it, which is a little bit over $6.1 million. Again, this is back in 2016. Which it's a very important investment for the city's infrastructure, but those are older construction costs. We might have to come back with new costs depending on the firms and the bids that they provide. So we'll keep the commission updated on it, but we just want to let you know that we are moving it forward. And like I said, tonight, 8.1 is an item directly that's going to directly improve and move forward the Southeast Drainage Project.
Thank you.
Another initiative, there's 2 more, I'm sorry, I'll speed it up, is, as you remember, Chief Marks provided us an update on the security assessment for City Hall at about a month ago. One key development from that security assessment is tying our security cameras to the real-time crime center at the BSO office in Fort Lauderdale. What the real-time crime center does is they're able to switch, it's an immediate switch to have access to our cameras from their facility in Fort Lauderdale. This came from what happened at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. As everyone knows, there was an active shooter in the high school. A lot of shots were being fired. when BSO showed up, when the police department showed up, they did not know how many shooters, where were the shooters, where were the kids, and what location, so they could immediately go get them and save them. If there was cameras and the police departments had access, they would be able to figure out there's one shooter and there's kids in these classrooms, go immediately get them. And that's what's happening now. Most public schools are tied to this real-time crime center. Our city is one of the first cities of our size that submitted the application to have the same access to be safe and secured. And a 911 call to dispatch could immediately access or the real-time crime center, and detectives at the crime center could be monitoring our facility, any of our facilities that have cameras, and be directing police officers where to go and where is the exact threat. So we're very excited about this. We feel good because this is going to make our facilities safer and definitely more secure. The last update is the FAU partnership. As everyone knows, we've been meeting with FAU concerning the beach redevelopment plan and trying to improve and grow our relationship, our partnership with FAU. The second phase of the beach redevelopment plan is to push back the sand dunes, expand them, but in doing so, we're going to have to remove some parking spaces. But as we all know, our beach parking is not sufficient as it is. Therefore, we're going to need a parking facility, a garage, a covered parking where we could go vertical. There's no space there other than utilizing some of the FAU space. We've met with them. They're excited about it. Because it's a win-win. They're going to have some covered spaces now for their faculty, their research, and the public will be able to also park in this parking facility. The parking facility will be wind resistant, it'll be elevated, it won't flood. So it's a win-win. They requested some renderings on how this would look. We're going to receive renderings tomorrow on some different examples. We'll share with you the renderings once we receive them. We'll share with FAU, and hopefully we'll be able to work something out, a partnership, and grow this partnership where it's a win-win for the university and it's a win-win for the school. That concludes my update. If anyone has any questions.
Commissioner James?
Yes, as far as the beach parking, I'm not sure, but I remember when they said we were going to extend the dunes and move the parking back. I don't remember them saying we were going to lose parking spaces. How many parking spaces does the current plan that's in place say that we're going to lose?
I don't have the exact number. I'll definitely look it up and I'll email you tomorrow morning.
Okay, because
with
I
the
don't
exact
remember.
numbers.
Do you remember, Commissioner Harris? Because I didn't remember them saying that we were going to lose a significant amount of
For
parking.
the dunes?
When we push back, when we move the dunes back,
Yeah.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
From when I was talking to, I've had 2 meetings with 2 different people on the, 2 different entities on the dunes. They seem to be in agreement that some of those parking spaces would have to be moved back, or that would be the thing. But I agree with you, in the presentation that we got, I never heard anything about it. But when I talked to the people about the sand dune restoration, they seem to feel that that's the best way to go.
No, yeah, I'm just asking about the plan that we
Okay.
previously approved. 'Cause I didn't
I'll get you that
see
information, Commissioner.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it?
One last thing.
Commissioner Brandon, go ahead.
I sat here on that phase 1 and 2 of the beach renourishment. And I don't remember losing any parking places, but I do remember the residents complaining, we don't want a garage on the beach. That stuck out in my mind like crazy. Because I wish that, well, if that school wasn't there and they didn't have a 99-year lease on it, we would be able to utilize that space, but they won't give it up. And they're worthy people down there anyway. All I remember is that the road itself was supposed to be raised up. But I don't remember them saying we were losing any parking places, because they know just how many feet of beach we have and how many places we needed. But I'm going to pull my records out and take a good look at it.
Right.
But that doesn't ring a bell that we were going to lose it. In fact, the dunes, if you recall, well, I don't know, you weren't here, but on the top of that dunes, the people were supposed to be able to walk. And the restaurant down there was supposed to be the one that's built up so that you can see the ocean while you're eating. Because right now, when you eat down there, it was at that grill, you couldn't see the water at all because of the way that dune was. So we thought it'd be nice if we're going to put a new grill in there or whatever happens there, that the dune would then have a walk space on it. But now it seems like there's a lot of changes being made to this plan for down the beach. And I think we
Well-
should revisit what changes are being made and how
We're not
come.
making changes.
And we will definitely bring that forward once it's ready to present. One of the key challenges that we're having is there's not enough parking. There's not enough parking at the beach currently, with no Dania Beach Grill, with no other concessions. We're having to close the beach parking a couple of times a month with regular visitors. Once the city continues to grow, once we have a new grill, Dania Beach Grill, or other restaurant, bar, whatever it may be, we're going to require additional parking. There's nowhere else to park.
Well,
The only-
Kenita, maybe you can ask Hollywood to give us the property that's theirs, that we're the ones that keep up cleaning it and all. They don't clean it, and they don't do nothing to it. And that's on the west side, across the street from the restaurant there. That property all back there belongs to Hollywood, yet we're maintaining it. So when you have your big round table, why don't you ask them to give it to us?
Well,
It's on the agenda.
The manager placed it on the agenda.
Well, we placed
What
it
am I here for? I don't even
Coming
know.
Okay.
We'll put it on the agenda and remind them
For
that
sure.
even if there's a piece of paper there, we're the ones that are cleaning it up. They're not touching it at all.
You're right. It's on there.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is special event request from the Community Redevelopment Agency for the Dania Beach 2020 Arts and Seafood Celebration to be held on March 28th, 29th, 2019, not, it's supposed to be 2020, at Frost Park from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday and from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. The applicant is requesting BSO Police and Fire Services and road closure for Fronton Boulevard from Northeast 2nd Street to Northeast 1st Street. Are there any issues with this?
No, we've assessed and we're in support.
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next item is special event request from Unite Us Group for their Femme Ale Brewfest Pioneering Craft Beer Festival celebrating women in brewing to be held at Dania Point, 139 South Compass Way on March 21, 2020 from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's what Kim was talking about,
Yes,
correct?
we've assessed and we certainly support.
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any
Thank you.
opposed?
Give me a martini.
We have no proclamations. We have citizens' comments next. There are a number of citizens' comments tonight. I know some of these are going to be held until the public hearing agenda items. But tonight, when you are called up and give your name and address, I am going to limit you to 3 minutes tonight because we do have quite a few and it's a long agenda. So we need to keep you at 3 minutes tonight. First person up is Laura Lombardo. Please state your name and address in 3 minutes.
Hello, Laura Lombardo, 1401 Northwest 10th Street. And good evening, Commissioners. I am speaking in support of the Dania Beach Historical Society. We have only had one meeting thus far, and the next one is of utmost importance. And I would like to encourage anyone with a passion for the rich history of the city of Dania Beach to attend. You do not have to be a resident of the city of Dania Beach to be a member of the Historical Society, to be clear. And items on the agenda include going over bylaws and applying for 501c3 status. And in order to move forward with the nonprofit status, we will the Historical Society will be electing a board of directors, more than 3 members and no more than 9. And so, once again, I would like to encourage anyone interested in joining the Historical Society to attend the March 3rd meeting here at City Hall at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. The next item is Audrey Warren and Danella Reddick.
Hello. First of all, thank you all for
I need you to state
hearing
your
us.
name and address.
Okay, Danella Reddick at 330 Southeast 11 Terrace, Dania Beach.
Thank you.
And Audrey?
Go ahead, Audrey.
Oh, my address is not Dania, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So you need your name and-
2300 Southwest 48th Avenue, West Park, Florida.
Thank you.
33023. And I want to say good evening, Mayor Llewellyn, and to the Dania Beach Commission tonight. There's a song, I don't know if you've heard it before, but it's a song sung by a songstress, Yolanda Adams. And the question in the song is, what about the children? So we're talking about the children tonight at Olson Middle School. We're here, this is Donella Reddick, she's a math teacher at Olson Middle, and I am Audrey Warren, and I am an event planner. My company is Current Event Planning. And Ms. Harris, who's principal at Olson Middle School, commissioned me about 4 years ago to start a tea party. She's an out-of-the-box thinker for getting her girls involved in school and keeping them focused. I don't know how much you know about Olson Middle School, but it's a diverse community of students. And so she started the tea party, I said, it's 4 years ago. And it started out with about maybe 15, 20 girls that joined in and really wanted to participate. I walked around your city, and I walked into an antique shop. You know you're known for that, and I love antiques. So I don't know if you're known for that, but I know you for that. But anyway, I walked into this antique shop, and there was a young mother in there, and I was telling her about the tea party. It was the first year, and just running my mouth as I am now. And I was telling her how important it was for the school and the girls and whatnot. And she got excited with me, and that was unusual. So she said, well, my daughter would be interested in this. And, you know, people tell you those things all the time, and you don't think you're going to hear from them ever again. But her daughter called me. Her daughter is a makeup artist for the celebrities and stars. And she called me and she said, I'd love to be a part. This young lady came into Olson Middle School, took over the whole tea party. She's made a club out of the tea party, and the girls have grown from 20 to over 100 students in this 4th year. We're here to invite you to our tea party on March 7th. Ms. Llewellyn was there last year, and she stayed throughout the whole tea party, and I hope she enjoyed everything. She smiled and grinned as though she did. So I'm inviting you, the rest of you, to join with us as well and come and see what's going on at Olson Middle School.
Thank you very much, ladies. Okay. Yeah, hand those out. Christine Douglas.
Good evening, everyone. Christine Douglas, 4665 Southwest 38th Terrace on the west side of Dania. I just want to bring to your attention, I'm not sure if you all have seen it, but there's a sign that's down in the median. The sign was supposed to let people know about Southwest 35th Avenue, but it's been down for a couple weeks, excuse me, laying in the median, and the empty frame is there in the median. So talking about the entranceway looking nice for Dania Beach, that Griffin Road needs a little bit of help. So if they can repair that sign. That's it, thanks.
And our Public Works Director, I believe, is taking note of that right now. So, okay, Roberta Bowles.
Good evening. My name is Roberta Bowles. My address, unfortunately, I have to say it this time, is homeless. Just bear with me for a minute. Okay. I have a home in Fort Lauderdale. I had a home in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for 45 years. I bought it at the age of 21. And I got displaced after the Hurricane Irma 3 years ago. So FEMA did help me. They kept me in hotels. They helped me get a place. My last place I rented for a year. And I got very excited when there was a call-in line on September the 13th for Saratoga Crossings. When you had your meeting, I don't want to say it's the last meeting, but I did get in on one of your meetings online, and I was excited. I lived in Dania for a short time with an ex-husband, and to me, Dania is a fabulous place. It's a place that I dreamed of living at, but I felt stuck in my home. So when I became displaced, my dream was to live in Dania. So on September 13th, there was a one-line call-in, 75 calls they took on one line, and 41 people, if I'm not mistaken, were picked to get in 62 and older housing. I'm 66. I'll be 67 in April. And I was very excited because I've also been abused by my older children and robbed and hurt. So I was very excited because I felt like I was going to be down the street from the Dania Police Station and safe. And Dania just feels like a safe place to me. You guys really have a community that feels safe. I don't know if anybody knows the blacks, but all the black families have several of them have died here living in Dania. Most of the people I know in Dania never want to leave Dania. They love Dania. Well, I made a few notes because I'm just a little, just bear with me. On 11, I did everything they said. I turned in the initial paperwork. And on 11/20, I had an appointment. And the lady just kept saying, denied, denied, denied. And she wouldn't let me talk. I said, can I go to the car and get my FEMA papers? She said, you own a home, you own a home. Well, I've been very sick since 2004. I even had a letter that they had seen that says I am terminal, but God has blessed me to continue on year after year. Some people say I may live to be 100, and God willing, maybe I will. But Dania Beach housing stressed me so that I actually got suicidal and actually have with me. I'm not going to read it, but I wrote a suicide note. I cried out on the Citizens Concern line in February. I said how much I cared about Dania, and I felt like I was discriminated against, but I didn't want to do it without reaching out to Dania officials first to see if I could get some help. And I beg your pardon, Mayor, but I said, oh my God, it's talking to the mayor like talking to the president, because I wanted to talk to the mayor.
Ms. Bowles,
Yes.
and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
But we are trying to keep this at 3 minutes
Yes.
each tonight, and we're getting
Okay.
to that point right
Okay,
now.
well, it's the only
And I
thing I
know
wanted
that
to-
you did send an email.
Yes,
You
yes,
sent a
ma'am.
very lengthy email, and I
Yes.
know you reached out by phone as well to a number of
Yes,
us.
I did.
And my understanding is that there is also a response that went out via email from the Housing Authority to you today as well.
Oh, it's today?
Yes, there was
Okay.
one that went out.
Okay, I haven't read it as of yet.
Okay, so I think it would probably be best if you reviewed that response.
Okay.
And then if you still have additional questions or comments,
Okay.
we could address it at that time.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Commissioner Brandon Marty, did you want to say something?
Listen, I don't know if it's just me or what, but I lost you from the first word. I really didn't know the point that you were trying to make, and I'm known to be
I'm sorry.
right
I
out
had the
there.
shingles and
Did
my
you
speech
start
is kinda
off
down.
by saying you right now are homeless?
Yes, ma'am. I'm homeless right now, yes, ma'am. Because I was supposed to move into the Saratoga crossings on March the 1st, I guess was the next date, but it's been going on since December.
Oh, well,
And
then
it's
I'd
getting
follow the
long.
advice of the mayor, because I didn't even know you were talking about Saratoga. I just lost you from the
I
get-go.
beg your pardon, I had the shingles and I was very sick, so ever since.
It's okay,
my-
hon, I understand now, but the advice that she gave you is the
Yes,
best
ma'am.
and probably the
Okay.
only one I would give, too.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless. If you
Thank
don't
you.
mind, I have the little young girl that I rode with, I'm going to leave out.
That's fine.
So she can get to bed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles. I believe the rest of the items here are for public hearings that are tonight, no? Sorry, that was, hold on. March? Is that March? Oh, because you have it checked off as public hearing 9.1, 2, and 3. Oh, you do also have, yeah, you also have citizen comments, usually when somebody puts that on there. If you want to come on up. Marge Perry.
Good evening, Marge Perry, 43-year resident of 5521 Southwest 44th Terrace, Dania Beach. Probably, hopefully, this will be the last time you'll see and hear from me. I wanted to speak in the general comment section before the public hearing about the development issue so many in the audience are here for it yet again. I've been very disappointed and disenchanted with the whole political arena here in Dania, both in the standards you all use, mistakes and typos and notices and agendas and minutes, and now hearing about the speed humps and non-compliance, things like that. and in the general feeling of distrust and animosity amongst you all on the City Commission. I hope you can figure out a way to work together for the betterment of the city and its residents. Your definition of progress shouldn't just be an increase in tax rolls. Some of you will be up for re-election, and many in this audience will be watching and remembering your votes tonight and in the recent past and future and hold you accountable for your decisions. I first came to you all back in June for help with an issue in my neighborhood. Other than Mark, there was no one really who cared or tried to help, with the excuse that you can't control what Hollywood does. That issue, the kosher hotel development, has been devastating to me and my neighbors, and my quality of life now and in my not-too-distant retirement future is greatly affected. I came back for that same issue in December when you actually had the original zoning and flex issue on the agenda but had no idea what it was. The next day, saw a sign in front of the Sheridan House about a public meeting, attended that planning committee meeting and vote, and were shocked to find out about the proposed development and potential road closure. It just seems that the original idea to close 54th Court had to have come from someone other than the developer. Perhaps a suggestion to him that the zoning and flex would be more favorable if he would help with the issues on 54th Court or 40th Avenue. Issues that you all should have been working on for a long while. On 40th for years, and certainly before you approved the townhouses, and on 54th Court after the Guitar opened and caused this massive traffic and safety problems. What are you currently doing to alleviate these continuing issues other than the signs and increased BSO presence, most of which only came about because of our residents coming to you repeatedly for help? Have you had any conversations with the City of Hollywood, the Seminoles, the Hard Rock, the Department of Transportation, Google, Waze, GPS, apps? Do you have any other plans other than this possible road closure? I highly resent the idea that you will approve a zoning change and flex, which allows a developer to increase the size of a development, and then suggest, force, coerce the abutters and opposers to try to work with him to get some concessions. Of course, he has the right to build whatever you allow him to and has no reason to appease the neighbors. I have no issue with this developer or his plans. I do have issues on the way this was presented. I may or may not join my neighbors in the comment section during the public hearing on items 9, 1, 2, and 3, but thank you for this time and allowing me my 3-minute rant.
Thank you, March. Well, there were 2 other people that also have this checked off for the same hearing, but they also have citizens' comments come up, checked off. Christine, did you want to speak now? Yes, please. Christine Musial. Please state your name and address, and I'm limiting you to 3 minutes.
Oh, no, see? Christine Musial, 5414 Southwest 44th Terrace. I'm just here to thank BSO for all their support. They've been fabulous with helping us with the speed sign and with the message board. And we want to also thank the department that helped put up the no parking signs, because that has definitely greatly helped. And we also wanted to thank, this is all coming from the neighborhood. They've asked me to be the representative. They wanted to thank the mayor and Bill for showing up to our community meetings that we were having, and for your support and help with everything that you guys have been doing. And we desperately need a speed humps in our street, 54th Court. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. I need people to forego the clapping tonight, because we're really trying to get through this, and we're actually going to have an issue that deals with that later on as well. So, Lynn Damiano, did you want to speak now, or? Okay. Eric Horbali, did you want to speak now, or do you want to wait till the public? Because I think you're here for the other. You can. Number 10. Yeah. So you. That's why I wasn't sure which one, because you have them both checked. Okay. All right. Okay. So then we'll go on to. Was there anybody else that wanted to speak during citizens' comments? Because did you fill out a paper? Okay. Well, we need you to fill out a paper. Is it on an issue that's on public hearings tonight? Okay. Can we get him a? Yeah. We need you to go get a paper, fill it out. You want to? Yeah, you can come up and speak now, but you need to fill out a paper and make sure you turn it into the clerk. Okay? Yeah, you can come do that, but just make sure you fill it out with the clerk. Please state your name and address.
Mark Bartlett, 2726 Treasure Cove Circle, Fort Lauderdale,
A little closer.
Dania Beach, 33312.
You need to
A
get
little closer?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, good. So we have a community, it's Treasure Cove, the Yacht Club at Treasure Cove. It's Southwest 27th Avenue and Southwest 45th Street. For 17 years, the community's been allowed to park outside of the community on the grass because of our community's parking problem. And recently, we had a resident who's no longer there who had a bunch of commercial vehicles, and he parked his commercial vehicles on that grass, which I don't blame him, but other neighbors started complaining. So now the city has put all these no parking signs all across that whole intersection of our community. And then since has now been fining our community members if they park there. Our community owns like a half acre, a quarter acre lot empty. And we've asked and petitioned with Daniel here to see what arrangements we can make, or if we could build fences, make a parking lot there. And he's telling me that there's nothing else to do. We have to come here as a community and make noise and see what we can do. But we would love, one, to remove those signs and be able to park on that grass, if that's okay. If not, if we could build a fence or something so we have additional parking in our community. We only have 7 guest spots and 48 units, sorry.
City Manager, who would he need to talk to?
Yeah, I suggest that you email so we could, gather a group together.
I did the email thing, that's why, but I'll do it again.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to write you myself, okay? Text. Okay?
Commissioner Brandamari, did you have something? Okay.
No, I can't.
Thank you.
We resolved. He's going to text me, and I'm going to get together with him at his place.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to public safety reports. What? What?
I know.
Not Chief?
Who are you?
Disappointed I can't get applauses, but that's okay.
Well, we need to move it along. We have a lot
Just,
tonight, so.
Captain Marks cannot be here, reference personal reasons, so I'm filling in tonight. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and City Manager. To start with, Deputy Hoff, which a lot of you know, he is coming back to the district. I knew. Yes. So he starts back on Saturday, and he'll be back in his neighborhood response team position. So we're very happy, and I know most of you, all of you guys are. So he will be back Saturday. So we just had that big going away party for him. So
I have to get him more water.
I know. So he'll be back starting Saturday, which is great for us. Couple things has happened over the last couple weeks. Last week in the area of 48 Southwest 11th Street, we had a robbery that occurred. A resident, upon arriving to his home, was approached by a male with a sharp object who placed it to his neck and stole his wallet. A couple minutes after that, the same suspect carjacked a resident who was staying at the HMO, violently threw his female passenger out of the vehicle, then assaulted the driver, threw him out of the vehicle, and then ran him over when he was fleeing in the vehicle. Unfortunately, the victim is okay. He had to go to the hospital, but he is okay and he is going to survive. Later that night, BOLA was issued. Fort Lauderdale Police located the vehicle. We were able to get the subject into custody after a pursuit, and he was positively identified for our crimes. He was charged and he is in jail. So that's a good call, good case. Last week, our deputies also responded to a robbery off of 6 Northwest 7th Avenue, where a female was assaulted with a knife to her neck. She was punched numerous times by an ex-boyfriend who ended up stealing her wallet, her chain, and fled the area with a knife. Upon arrival of our deputies, we immediately set up a perimeter in our canine track, and we were able to locate the subject, get the victim's property back, as well as find the weapon, and he was charged and he's in jail as well. And yesterday, on the west side of the city, in about the 2900 block of West Griffin, we had a residential burglary that just occurred. A homeowner came home and observed 2 males walking out of his residence. They ended up dropping the property, ended up fleeing the area. Our responding deputy stayed in the area, was able to get a description of them from a witness. About a half an hour later, he observed the 2 males in a different part of that development attempting to canvass the area to break into another residence. We set up on them, and we were able to get them both into custody before they could flee. So, yeah, it was a very good job by the guys. We continue to do traffic enforcement in Christine's neighborhood, which has been a continuing problem off of State Road 7, obviously, with the Hard Rock. We're doing everything we can. I am going to get with our motor unit, and we're actually going to do a blitz on the weekend, and sit out there with our traffic units at nighttime, which we haven't done yet. So hopefully do some traffic enforcement to add to the enforcement we're already doing. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you, lady. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, Sergio Pellicer, your District Fire Chief. I just want to say I'm very excited because I've been working with Fernando and Marjorie Craig on getting our ISO rating. You know, still continue to work on the hydrants and everything we have to do. So they've been a great help to help me keep the program going or reinstated so that we can start our 3-year process, because this is the first year, and that we'll go through 2 more years after this, but just making sure that everything flows good. Also, I've been working with our 2 stations on getting them to let me know when there's calls or when our guys act or girls act in extraordinary manner, so that we can start bringing them into the commission meetings and recognizing them for everything they do. I started last month with Employee of the Month, so next month I plan on bringing you the next Employee of the Month and Employee of the Quarter, so that these people can be recognized. We did Stop the Bleed kits and ended up training 82 people for the city. All the city employees were trained. So, as far as training you personally, if you need anything you want to be trained on, just get a hold of me personally. I'll train you guys personally, so that you guys are also, because I know you have busy schedules, so I want to make sure that you guys are also trained. Also, Chicky, I'm ready for the email on your seniors club, so I can go ahead and get all the seniors trained. And then the other senior citizen group I've talked to on getting senior citizens trained on hands-only CPR. That's all I have, and if you have any questions.
I do. The Stop the Bleed and/or CPR, that sort of thing. Have you also talked to any of the homeowners groups or the civic associations?
Yes, I did, Civic Association. So as long as they provide me a list of who's interested and a date, I'll be there and get them trained. If I'll either bring a couple personnel or myself, depending on how many people there are.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next is the consent agenda. Do we have any polls?
7.5.
Motion to approve consent agenda with the exception of 7.5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
7.5, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of funds by the city administration for services to be purchased from Lyle Sumick Associates, Inc. for professional services related to developing a strategic master plan for fiscal year 2019-2020, ending September 30, 2020, that exceeds an annual vendor total amount of $25,000, authoring such purchase to be made within the city manager's annual budget appropriation, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, provided by the city manager.
Yes, I'm not sure if this is a technical problem or not, but I remember we added the citizens' input to this, but I don't think we should limit it to 7 to 10 individuals. That's my only issue with it. I'm not going to increase the scope of work to $5,000 just to invite 7 to 10 people, and who's going to be inviting them. If we invite the community and one shows up, we gave the community a chance to show up. But if 50 show up, I don't think we should limit it to 7 to 10 people. That's my only issue with this item. So if we could amend that to not include it, I would be fine.
I can certainly have that discussion with the strategic planners to make sure that we provide a regular session like this for anybody that wants to be involved and come forward and speak.
Okay.
Just a question. The actual strategic planning sessions, though, they are open to the public, correct?
All the strategic planning sessions are open to the public, and at any time, residents can speak.
Okay, and that'll be publicly noticed and all of that, like we do with every other meeting?
He had asked, how many people ordinary speak about things, so we kind of said that. So we don't have to limit it. It could be an open forum.
I don't know if 2 people are going to show up. I just don't want to be boxed in case there's more, and I didn't want to get into the whole who's inviting who to come, because it said we're going to invite 7 to 10, and so just.
That
to
is,
make it open.
that is a good concern, and we'll open it up to the public, so not to worry. Thank you.
Okay, so do we want to,
I make a motion to approve 7.5.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is bids and requests for proposals.
Item 8.1 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the proper city officials to award requests for qualifications RFQ number 19-014 for engineering consulting services for design criteria development related to the Southeast Drainage Project Phase 2 to WSP USA Inc., providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. Public Services Department request.
Any
This
issues?
is the
Southeast Drainage?
anticipated Southeast Drainage Project. We went back, did the RFQ correctly. It's been blessed by our city attorney, our finance department, and we're ready to roll and move forward with this first giant step of this very important project in our city.
Move the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Public hearings.
Okay, items 9, 1, 2, and 3 are all related, so I'll read them together. These, by the way, Commission and the public, these are called quasi-judicial proceedings, meaning that anybody is going to address the Commission on these items relating to the, what is this called? 4200 Real Estate LLC development, represented by Mr. Mealy, and for the project for the rezoning for the property on 45th Street, which is the, what's this one called? The flexibility units allocation, item 9.4. Anybody's going to speak today. I need you to stand for a second, so you'll be sworn in. It's required to be sworn in, including staff. Anybody's going to speak, swear or affirm the testimony you give be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thanks so much. Please be seated. Let me read these to you. 9.1 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the request made by Leigh Robinson Kerr and Associates, Inc., in Greenspoon Martyr on behalf of BEJL 4200 Real Estate LLC for a rezoning RZ 13119 and flexibility units allocation OT 13919 for properties generally located at 4200 Southwest 54th Court in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy which is attached to this ordinance. Changing the current zoning classification of the properties from community facilities CF and single-family 8,000 residential district RD 8,000 to multiple-family 25 dwelling units per acre, residential district RM2, subject to certain restrictions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date. This and the next two applications are for second, this is the second reading, and all of these were continued from the last commission meeting of February 11th. Next is 9.2, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the site plan SP 13219 submitted by Leigh Robinson Kerr and Associates, Inc., in Greenspoon Martyr on behalf of BEJL 4200 Real Estate LLC for properties generally located at 4200 Southwest 54th Court in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy which is attached to this resolution, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, and last, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the plat note amendment delegation request PL 13019 submitted by Leigh Robinson Kerr and Associates, Inc. in Greenspoon Martyr on behalf of BEJL 4200 Real Estate LLC for the property located at 4200 Southwest 54th Court in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy which is attached to the resolution. Running for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. All of these are sponsored by the Community Development Department.
Good evening. Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. So there are a couple applications in front of us, but it all is related to the same project. So the first item is for the rezoning and the assignment of flex, and that is second reading. The rezoning being requested is to change the zoning designation from the existing CF community facility and the residential RD 8000 to the multifamily residential or the RM2 zoning. That's the rezoning request. The flex request is for the assignment of 174 flex units, which would allow the development as proposed with the 275 dwelling units. That was going to be my extent of the presentation for the rezoning and flex because it was second reading and I made a full presentation. I can do so on those items, that application, if you'd like me to do so. But I was prepared to talk about the site plan and the plat, which is new. It's the first time we've heard that in front of this, in front of you as a city commission, even though you might be familiar a little bit with the project itself. As I said, they were asking for rezoning of the property. The site area is over 7 acres. It's about 7.5 gross acres. Currently, there is the residential treatment facility operating on the site. They're proposing the redevelopment with the multifamily residential, which is what results in the need for the rezoning and the assignment of flex, as well as the plat actually as well. The subject property is located on the south side of Southwest 54th Court, which is west of 40th Avenue. The property is approximately 7.5 acres in site, in area, and is the current location of the Serenity Oaks Wellness Center. And on January 28th, the commission approved on first reading the rezoning and the flex. This is the location of the site. Southwest 40th Avenue is to the east. That's this road, but it does front on Southwest 54th Court. The plat application is to amend the note on the plat, which restricts the use of the property. Currently, the note on the plat is approved for non-residential use, and the applicant is requesting the note to restrict the property to 275 multifamily dwelling units. That would allow the proposed site plan that they're proposing tonight. The applicant's proposing the construction of the 275 multifamily dwelling units. It would be a 6-story building that's being proposed with recreational facilities for the residents, along with a parking garage, stormwater retention, and a tree preservation area to the south side of the property. 23 trees will be located and preserved on site. They'll be relocating them to that preserve on the south side of the property. The applicant also, along with the site plan, submitted a parking study to justify the alternative parking standard for the project, which is something that the City Commission can approve concurrently with the site plan itself. They are also proposing this double cul-de-sac idea, which has been talked about in the past. This was primarily a response to the residents' traffic concerns in that area. The residents who live in the area will be able to pass through, where the others that are not residents in that area would be prohibited, reducing the trips from the Seminole Hard Rock and Casino through that neighborhood. The cul-de-sac and gate improvements would be completed prior to the issuance of the CO for the project, and the applicant has had several community meetings with the adjacent residents to discuss the project as well as the traffic in the area. The applicant will also have to pay $375,000 to the park impact fees because it's a residential project, and that's a standard impact fee. It's based on the number of units that they're proposing. That's how we got to that value. This is the proposed site plan. To the south of the property is where that landscape preserve area is going to be, where they're going to be relocating some of those trees. The parking deck and garage is in the center, and there's like 2 sides of the residential building, along with the pool and the recreational facilities. There's also an open space area and stormwater retention areas that are along the street frontage on the north side of the property. And this is a rendering of what that building will look like completed. The site plan itself did go through the Development Review Committee on September 26th and again on October 31st. And as you know, the DRC includes staff members from BSO Fire, Public Services, the city's landscape consultant, and Community Planning, Development and Planning Division. The applicant has several outstanding staff comments that must be addressed prior to the issuance of the permit, which they are aware of and working towards resolving. They're identified in the staff report and in the resolution. Should that resolution be approved, they would automatically be conditions of the approval. And as I stated before, the applicant has had several neighborhood meetings with the community. Some previous actions, we've seen this application, or the associated applications for this project previously. On January 28th, the commission approved the applicant's request for the rezoning and the flex on first reading. On February 11th, the commission continued it to tonight's agenda. Staff's recommending approval of the resolution for the site plan and the alternative parking standards, provided the remaining DRC comments are made conditions of the approval and the approval of the resolution for the plat at the same time. In addition, of course, you still have to approve second reading of the rezoning and the assignment of flex as well. Are there any questions of staff at this time?
Not right now. It's the public hearing. I know there are several people that are here to speak. Dennis, did you want to speak first, or do you want to?
I can wait till the end.
Okay. All right. Lynn Damiano? You gonna wait? Steve Goldberg?
My name is Steve Goldberg, 4010 Southwest 54th Court. As stated before, I'm for this project. I think that we sat in many meetings, talked about the structure itself as far as the height. I know that was some of the concerns. The 6 stories is kind of paled to the 50 stories of the guitar that we could see from South Beach. As far as the concessions that the owner made to beautify our street and to put the sidewalks in and the lights and everything else was a very warm gesture for this fella. My house is directly next door to this project, and I'm completely for this project. I think it's going to look nice in our community. I think it's going to be an upgrade to the community. Most people that live towards the end of the street and along the sides, it's a very big rental community and so forth. It's, the residents that are here today are the full-time residents, but the rest of the residents that haven't showed up are just rentals. It's overcrowded on the rental side and so forth. There's dogs that got loose. They came running to my house because of my dogs and so forth. So I think it's going to be a real good, structure for the community just as a whole project. And I like the upgrades, and I just want to say thank you for the developer for doing this project.
Thank you. Lori Ann Groover?
Hi, my name is Lori Ann Groover, 5451 Southwest 54th Avenue. Thank you so much for allowing us to come here and have an opinion on this matter. What I want to discuss is that we have had 3 meetings with the developer, and each of these meetings were very informative, but they were not negotiations. And we as a community are just now kind of getting all the information. So we are coming together as a group, but it's taking a little bit of time. Anyway, of these meetings, no compromise was made by either party. And after the last meeting, I went away feeling quite deflated. Then we had the hearing the next day, and it was postponed. Well, after that meeting, I sat down and I said, we've got to do something. So I personally made a survey, and I surveyed every one of my neighbors that would speak to me. I have a packet that I would like to give to you. May I approach and give it to you? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, anyway, I decided that I needed to basically get all the opinions of my neighbors who could not attend these meetings for different reasons. And I personally felt their opinions mattered. So page 1 of your project is the survey that I created and asked for everybody. Page 2 is just a few of the items polled and the data collected. Obviously, there is not time to discuss each and every one of those items. Page 3 is a personal analysis of the traffic survey taken and provided by the developer. And a few pages of that was cited, a few pages from the traffic survey was cited, so I provided those pages for you. Anyway, we as a community would like to ask that we can meet with the developer and you, the commission, to have a negotiation meeting where we can go away all happy. Because as of this moment, I mean, we really haven't been given the time to negotiate. I mean, the meetings have been informative, but that's about all they've been. You know, we weren't allowed to say, or we as a community didn't speak up because we're new to this. So anyway, we would like to have this postponed, or we would also like, if it can't be postponed, maybe you can vote no until we as a community can come together and, meet with the developer and come to a happy medium. Anyway, like I said, we kind of got to this game late. Mr. Goldberg, in a previous meeting, stated that he met with the developer every day for breakfast for a year. And we're really just kind of getting to know them.
You already had your turn, let her speak.
So we're just kind of getting together as a community, and we want that same time to negotiate with the developer. As you can see from the second page, most of the community is against the project, they are unhappy with the project, and they feel it's too large for our community. And these are just some of the things that I pulled. So
I need you to wrap up.
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Escobar? Okay. Nancy Self?
Good evening. I'm Nancy Self. I live at 5531 Southwest 44th Terrace. We have had some meetings with the developer, as was mentioned. I have asked a question twice to the developer, and I haven't got an answer. And I'm hoping tonight that I can get an answer, and I'm assuming it's by your staff. I've been a teacher for over 4 decades, and I always stand for students. We have children that go to the bus stop on 40th through 54th, and every day they're going to be walking seeing this development with 2 water retention ponds. From what I have seen with the site plan, I don't see a fence around those ponds. I don't see a wall around those ponds. When I have asked the developer, he says that there is landscaping. I have asked if there are laws or codes that says that they have to have a wall or a fence. He says that he doesn't know. So, if I have this correctly, you're going to be thinking about approving the site plan tonight. So, if it is code or law, it seems to me that it should be in the site plan. And it's been approved for his multifamily 275 apartments. That includes children. If we as residents have to have a fence, a wall, or an alarm system with our pools for children coming in from the neighborhood that could possibly drown, it seems to me that there are laws or a code to have a wall or a fence around these holding ponds that these children are going to be seeing 5 days a week walking to their bus stop. So I'm wondering if I can get an answer tonight, if there is someone from code enforcement or someone on the board that knows the answer. Is there a law or an ordinance about these holding ponds?
Well, do we have Corinne?
There is no requirement to have a fence or a wall around a retaining area or that's certainly something that you can add as a condition of approval if you choose to do so.
Okay. Lynn Damiano?
Hi, Lynn Damiano, 4481 Southwest 54th
You're going to have to speak up.
Court.
We can't hear you at all.
Lynn Damiano, 4481 Southwest 54th Court. I also had questions for developer at the PJ Milley meeting. I wrote down the date here.
Ms. Damiano, I think you're going to have to speak up a little bit more.
Yes,
Very hard to
February
hear.
10th,
Very hard
I
to hear.
visited the PJ Mealy Community Center, and we had a meeting with the developer, and there were some questions I had, which the developer didn't answer, except say that he paid $25,000 for the road study. That was my concern about the road study. So I hope that you all will consider that road study before you approve this rezoning, because I requested the road study myself, traffic study, road study, however you want to call it. And after reviewing it, I mean, I'm no engineer, but there's a lot of discrepancies in there, especially because, actually, I believe you all have a copy of it. Can you take a look at it? Okay. Okay, first of all, the road study was done August 27th, 2019. It's inconclusive, obviously, if the Guitar Hotel did not open until October 24th, as well as the Ghost Bar nightclub, which is right there on 441 and 54th. Grand opening being October 20th. A lot of dates. Can you hear me? Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
You're speaking louder than other times,
Well,
so.
what I was trying to say is the road study was done August 27th, and I just feel it's inconclusive, and I would like you all to review that, though none of us are engineers, maybe so, because of the grand opening of the Ghost Bar being October 20th, and the Hard Rock being October 24th. It's not included in the study, obviously, if it was done on August 27th. Also, I don't feel it's accurate because we have winter residents, also called snowbirds, and they usually don't arrive until November, December. But you do have that for your review.
Did you have a question, City Manager? It's attached to the survey.
Yeah.
It's on the last few pages. Okay.
Like this? Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's quite lengthy, but there's some, I believe there's some areas highlighted. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fritz Moore? Please state your name and address.
Hi. My name is Fritz Moore. I live at 4249 Southwest 54th Court, directly across Serenity Oaks, from the Serenity Oaks facility. I've been living in Dania Beach for about 3 years now, and there's a real reason why we when I say we, my family and I, picked your city to live in. 3 years ago, as we were looking for a permanent place, I was born and raised here in South Florida. I'm a retired firefighter. We went around and we looked in every community, and we wanted to find a place that not only had a neighborhood feel, greenery, and still felt like nothing that was cookie cutter. It was something that we've grown up with here in Florida, which is an original neighborhood filled with neighbors. I met this young lady here the first day that I moved in, and she came down and welcomed me to the neighborhood, and it felt different in Dania Beach. You have everything in your city in your hands. You have a beautiful beach area. You have beautiful greenery. We moved on 54th Court because of the trees and the oaks and so forth. We loved living in Dania Beach, and yes, I said loved, because our love is going down little by little. 3 days, and we didn't know this, but 3 days after we signed, we did our mortgage and we moved in, they broke ground at the Hard Rock Hotel. I love entertainment spaces, you know? I love that. But now our neighborhood has changed slowly. I don't know if anyone has mentioned here, but since the Hard Rock is open, they have day parties now that you can hear the music and foul language coming from the Hard Rock. That is something that we hear every Saturday and every Sunday all day because the parties start at 11 o'clock on. Now we hear about this development, and I'm thinking to myself, where are the people who are running the city? Why are you not fighting for us? I keep hearing about Mr. Goldberg and other people saying that the developer did this, the developer is going to do this, the developer is going to make sidewalks. You should be doing that for us. We shouldn't have to worry about a developer doing it for us. Mrs. James, you spoke to me, I don't know if you remember me, but right after I moved in, and it's something very minor, but it meant a lot to me. I lost money in one of the meters on the beach, and I contacted you. I don't know if that rings a bell or so forth. And I was amazed that by the time I got home from the beach, she had not only contacted me, but says, I'm going to figure out a way to take care of this. This is why we lived in Dania Beach. My wife the other day came and said something that I would never want to hear. She says, I guess it's time to move. I guess it's time to move. And I'm so, if you see me right now, I'm shaking right now because you're about to do something to a neighborhood that's going to totally destroy it. We are a neighborhood. We are a community that wants to stay that way. I've been hearing about solar lighting going up, different things going on in Dania Beach that still give me hope. But if you do this to the neighborhood, you're not as progressive as you think. Every neighborhood in South Florida is making the same mistake that you're about to make right now, which is jamming a bunch of people in a nice neighborhood and driving out residents that love to live there. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I hope you would consider that.
Come on. Thank you. Marge Perry, did you want to speak? You good? Okay. Christine Musial, did you want to speak again?
Christine Musial, 5414 Southwest 44th Terrace. I'm going to let you know at this time I don't feel well. I was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor in 2008, and I'm not doing well right at this moment.
Do you need paramedics?
Need help, hon?
Do you want to check?
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Call 911. Jesus. Lauren, no.
Just take a few minute recess, please. No. Okay. So we will continue. The next person was Alice Turner. Is that for this project?
Lori, Lynn and I had the same subject.
Need you to state your name and address, please.
My name is Alice J. Turner, and I own property which was known as Lot 9, Ellis Little Acres, thank you, which is now 4465 Southwest 54th Court. I've been a resident there for 33 years and had the property several years before I retired there. Chicky, I want to commend you.
What for?
Speaking out. And that's what I do on my street. My subject tonight, and good evening, everyone, and I almost froze. It'll take me 2 hours to warm up when I get home. But I control my own thermostat. Again, my subject is the traffic study, which was absolutely ridiculous because it was conducted, as Lynn said, on August 27th, and it only was 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. A true study cannot be based on one particular date and then average for every other day. The first day of school was August the 14th, 2019. School was in, but not just starting. Hard Rock grand opening was October 24th, opened after the study was completed. Ghost Bar grand opening was October 20th, opened after the study was completed. And they're here for over 2 months. They have to be back by 3 months. And as you can see, I didn't intend for Christine to put on a show for us, but they've all been working very hard because you've really upset our neighborhood. And we're very proud of our neighborhood. So I prayerfully hope that you'll reconsider. And maybe the developer will agree to meet with us and listen to some of our problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Layden Escobar?
Lady Escobar, 5531 Southwest 43rd Terrace, Fort Lauderdale. And my concern is regarding the privacy. We just bought our property last summer, and as our neighbors mentioned, it's a lovely place to live. And I have a concern regarding the amount of people that will be around and the traffic and the planning regarding the cul-de-sac and closing the entrance and the street. And now we're already facing issues with the traffic coming from the Hard Rock Cafe. So me and my family stand from the concern regarding this development for the privacy of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against? Come on up. Please state your name and address, and be limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening. It's freezing, so I must agree with the lady over there.
Okay. You need to put the microphone closer to your mouth so we can hear you.
Yes, it's freezing.
Okay. I heard that.
Okay. But we don't control the thermostat, do we? Just like we don't control growth. And I just want to, I kind of made notes while my fellow neighbors were speaking. And it seems like there's a lot of concern about a lot of things in our neighborhood. By the way, I live on 3911 Southwest 56th Street.
An address? I'm not sure you did.
I did not, but
Please do.
R.E. Fraser, 3911 Southwest 56th Street, Dania Beach. So lots of concerns in our side of the woods, in West Taras, West Dania Beach. But I just want to say that, you know, a lot of these concerns, and I'm noting them, traffic and safety issues and privacy issues and noise and, you know, basically having a club right in the backyard, have nothing to do with this development. And have nothing to do with this developer either. There's a lot of frustration in our neck of the woods. We had to... we have some acclimating and adjustment frustration for the project that went up from the Hard Rock, and that's definitely frustrating. I have to agree with my fellow neighbors. There's a lot of parties going on and profanity and people speeding through the neighborhood. But I'm a very reasonable businessman and in my day-to-day life, and I'm also like that with when it comes to these types of things. When this developer approached our neighborhood, we sat with him. I was in at least one of the meetings where I was very satisfied with his approach, which was resolution. So how do we get through the issues that the neighborhood is presenting? How do we fix the problems that you guys are raising, which, by the way, most of it has nothing to do with him. And I don't blame anyone for the Hard Rock. I can't sit here and blame you guys. I know, Lori, when you were getting into for the elections, you came to our neighborhood, knocked on my door, and spoke to me about development and growth. And I see a lot of it going on in Dania Beach, because that's natural. That's what happens. People, businesses come in. We want to grow. Every one of us works. We have a job. We have places that we hope grow and develop and get more employment. I just don't see growth as a bad thing. I see growth as a good thing. And part of that growth is a neighborhood that is going towards people utilizing the purposes of their property. And we have a developer that basically is agreeing to resolve a lot of the neighborhood's problems that have nothing to do with him. We have a developer that's committed to working with the cul-de-sac to prevent and slow down traffic from the Hard Rock. He's willing to do it on his property, on his dime. He's willing to provide access to emergency vehicles, because in some of the meetings that were predating today, there were complaints about and concerns about people having their kids dropped off and picked up from school, emergency vehicles access, not cutting the neighborhood off of Dania Beach. And I've been following every single one of these meetings. And this developer has agreed to bend backwards and do every single thing this neighborhood asked him to do. There's always going to be concern when you have the unknown. But I have seen developments in my life, lots of them. I've never seen a developer that was so committed to making sure that that the neighborhood that he was moving his development into was liked, was nice, was going to bring a lot of good things, taking care of sidewalks, taking care of light issues, taking care of safety issues, taking care of profanity from the Hard Rock, blocking our entire section of the street on Saturdays and Sundays from the bass noise and that pool party that's going on in the Hard Rock. I mean, there's so much.
I need you to wrap it up.
All right,
I
am.
appreciate it,
I
but I need you to
promise.
wrap
I'm
it up.
freezing
I got to
here
get
anyway.
same thing.
So I would like to petition you guys or say, look, there was a survey that was mentioned. Nobody ever knocked on my door, okay? And 56th Street and 56th Court, I know every single one of the neighbors. We all understand what's going on. We feel that this developer has gone way above and beyond, and I am generalizing because I didn't go and get a survey, but I think that we all feel that this is growth. It's a breeze of change, somebody that actually is concerned about what we are concerned about and is willing to find solutions. And I say, you guys vote a yes. If there's problems, issues, I'm sure that it'll get resolved. He's here, his attorney was there, his staff is here to find solutions, and that's what they're doing. And they deserve a yes tonight because of their commitment to make sure they speak to us and they take us into consideration.
Thank
and we
you.
are a voice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the...
Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak for or against? Yeah? Okay. Come on up. I'm assuming, Mr. Mealy, you're going to answer some of the questions?
Yes. I'm going to try.
Oh, no, wait. Is this, no, they're different. They're here for a different item. Go ahead. Thank you, Christine.
Should I proceed? Thank you, Dennis Mealy, on behalf of the applicant. My address, 200 East Broward Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale. We showed some of these last time, but I'll try to go through them quickly again, if I can make this work. Corinne, am I doing something wrong?
And Mr. Mealy, you're going to need to get a little closer to the microphone, too, or something, because I'm kind of quiet.
Okay, thank you. I'll just pick this up. Is this okay? Okay, thank you. Just an aerial photo of the site. I'll go through these quickly. We showed some of them last time. We can go to the next slide. Ms. LaJoy already went over this. We can go to the next one. Okay, so here's the site plan. On the left-hand side is 54th Court, and on the, I guess, towards the bottom, if you keep going a little further, you'd be 441. So you notice that we've set back our buildings very far off of 54th Court so that we have a nice landscape view as people are going along the roadway there. The buildings are actually, as you see, kind of the darker gray. That's where the buildings start. Now, you notice we've also shown the double cul-de-sac on the site plan now. a few of the things that I heard. First, the suggestion that there was no compromises made. Well, we've been making compromises on this project all along since we first started. Listening to the concerns we heard for cut-through traffic in the area today and for the traffic coming from the Hard Rock. And we've heard from all of the residents of some of the crazy things that are going on, all hours of the night, and people coming over from Hard Rock. Putting in these cul-de-sacs will stop that because they won't be able to get through. And so the first time they come down here and realize they can't go any further, they won't come back again. And so we tried to eliminate that cut-through traffic that we hear is from two sources. People trying to avoid an intersections, perhaps at 441 and Sterling, and people coming from the Hard Rock. We adjusted our thinking on the cul-de-sacs to make sure that not only could police, fire, EMS, bicycles, and pedestrians get through, but the people that live to our west, who expressed a very valid concern of not wanting to have to leave Dania Beach to go back into Dania Beach in a different location. So we provided for the window stickers or fobs or whatever it may be that people can get through. Now, I heard earlier discussions about lighting and sidewalks at various places in the city. And it's not the city commission's fault that there are no sidewalks here. There is no current right-of-way to put the sidewalks in. I think earlier I heard you talking about other locations where you wanted sidewalks, but I think the word that was used is the road wasn't wide enough. Well, it's the same thing here. The right-of-way is not here now. We're going to dedicate it, and we're going to build the sidewalk. So it's not a failing on the city's part. There wasn't sufficient right-of-way for a sidewalk. There will be now when we do this project, because we will dedicate it and we will build the sidewalk. Also, we're putting in the lighting. We know that there's not lighting now, and we're providing for that. With all of these lakes we're putting in, we're going to be improving the drainage in the area as well. And then if you notice off to the right, which is the southern end of the property, is the tree preserve area that Ms. LaJoy was talking about earlier, to make sure that we're keeping the best trees and that we're relocating trees from other portions of the site to that southern portion of the site. There was a couple of comments about the traffic study. Now, unless you're a traffic engineer, these traffic studies are often very confusing. So let me talk about a few things we do. You can't just look at the first couple of pages and stop there, and I'm afraid that's what happened from the comments I heard earlier. So first, every time you do a traffic study, you do a seasonal adjustment, and you adjust the traffic for the middle of February, basically, which is deemed to be the highest traffic time of the year. So if you do a study in December, you're going to add a few percentage points to all that traffic to get it up to a February level. If you do a traffic study in August, you're going to adjust it even more to get it to that February level. And this is as required by the Florida Department of Transportation. So when traffic engineers do a traffic study, they use these certain methodologies to make sure that they're doing it right and that they're not undercounting. So you look at an area like the Hard Rock is opening across the street, and it opened after the traffic study's done. That's okay. We knew it was coming. It's easy to predict what the traffic's going to be based on the number of hotel rooms or the number of square feet of commercial or restaurants or whatever it may be. So I assure you that this traffic study was done exactly the way it was supposed to be, and nothing was left out and nothing was missed. But I also want to point out, if the Hard Rock is generating even more traffic, all the more reason to put in these cul-de-sacs and stop that traffic from cutting through. At the earlier meetings, we heard concerns that fire trucks or EMS or police would not be able to get through. We took care of that with these gates. We met with your police and fire departments, and they told us how many keys they want to the gate and all that, and we're going to do exactly what they asked us to do. So all those folks will be able to get through. There was a concern that there were one or more students who had pickup for school. In fact, one of the students we heard about has a special vehicle that picks them up. So we wanted to make sure that even with these gates here, that vehicle could still get in and still pick up the young man and take him to school. And we confirmed, my client confirmed with the private company that the school board contracts with, that they go into private communities all the time. They get the fob or the sticker on the window for their van or whatever. They can go in and out. The same thing's going to happen here. Everyone who's getting picked up now will still be able to get picked up in the future. No one will be cut off from that service. I think I pretty much tried to address the questions that were asked. If I left anything out or you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
There was a comment also about, I know that Corinne addressed it somewhat about the lakes,
I did hear the comment, and I will tell you, I was working on a project in Oakland Park recently. It was a former golf course, 145 acres, and we're putting in lakes all over the place. And some of the neighbors said, well, why aren't you putting fences around the lakes? Show me a development in South Florida that has a lake that serves that community that has a fence around it. You don't do that. You know, these lakes are dug with the proper slopes. They're not a steep drop-off. They will be done exactly according to the specifications for such a lake. And I've never seen one where you put a fence around it. And they're all over Florida, all over South Florida. In my neighborhood, your neighborhoods.
Vice Mayor.
Oh, and then the thing about putting it near the street, I'm hearing comments behind me. Often when we do these residential developments, we put the lake in the middle and we build all the way around it. And what we often hear from cities is, why don't you set it up in a way that people in the area can enjoy that? Don't put it in the middle and build all the houses around it. Let everybody else see that lake when they're driving by. And that's what we've done. But the other thing we did is, being sensitive to 54th Court, if we put the lake in the middle, then we put the building closer to the road. Then everybody would be saying, you got the big building right closer to the road. So we pulled the building away from the road and put the retention in front. And then in the back, which is the area with the most good trees, that's where we're doing our preserve area. So the tree part of it is done on purpose to preserve the best trees. The lake part of it is done to keep the building off the road and create a nice vista as you're going down 54th.
Vice Mayor.
Is the slope arbitrary, or is it set by some state or county or?
So it's set by code. In this area, Broward County issues the surface water management permits for themselves and for the South Florida Water Management District.
Yeah.
And so generally, they'll have a design characteristic that's something like the following: a 4-to-1 slope until 2 feet below the water, and then the slope goes to 2-to-1. Gary, am I saying that right? And so basically any lake dug in the last 20, 25 years has had to meet that requirement.
What's the depth of the lake, the total depth?
About 10 feet, I think? About 10 feet maximum. And that's right in the very middle, not at the edge,
Right.
obviously.
At the end, it's more shallow?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Yeah. You know, those slopes are problematic. I've been right up on some of them, and I've seen why it is the way it is, but there's shrubbery around it and things like that.
That's correct.
I suppose the goal is to make it, for at least for children, as not appealing as possible to go over there and accidentally, if you went too close, with a 4-year-old who walked over there, you could.
Well,
Quite easily.
we will have, it will be heavily landscaped around the lake. And like I say, I mean, you see.
No, I understand.
You see these lakes all over South Florida.
I know you see them all over. All right, thank you.
And we'll make it safe, because we'll make it meet the requirements. And even if we didn't, your engineering people, the county engineering people, they will make us make it meet the requirements.
Right, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Brandon
I want you all to know that I live in the Meadowbrooks. We have 9 lakes. We have no fences around any of the lakes. In fact, I'm fighting every day, putting signs out there, stop fishing in the lake. Because what we did was we stocked it with fish. So now people come from the street and they want to fish in the lake. But you said something amazing. My lake is 30 feet deep. Salt water on the bottom, is it? And fresh water on the top, or vice versa, however that works. You know this. I mean, you know our lakes. We got 9 of them. He knows, he lives over by there. We have 9 lakes that stem from Dania Beach Boulevard to Sheridan Street. And it was funny that I thought everybody knew you don't have to do that. Did you ever see the drainage holding ponds they even got by the airport? Even I stopped one day and thought, gee, somebody can drown in that. And that even knocked me for a loop, because I'm thinking it's okay on our private property, you could do that, but how come they can do it out at the airport? That I haven't figured out yet. But no fences at all. Just a sign to say, Do not come here and swim. Do not come here and fish. And that's it.
Actually, I do have one question. How many versions of the site plan have we been provided? Several, right? I mean, there've been changes. Three.
Is this our fourth
Three.
one? It's our fourth one.
Right.
Three
And-
before this.
And that's primarily based upon the issues that residents have brought up and requests.
If we had, if we were able to do it our way, we wouldn't be redoing the street, we wouldn't be putting in the cul-de-sacs, wouldn't be adding the street lights. That's just all extra expenses for us. But why do we do it? To try to be a good neighbor and to try to do a good job.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against? Okay. Seeing nothing else, do we have a motion on the first item? Yeah. It's the first, okay, good. Which is the 9.1? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
No.
Vice Mayor Odman?
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries 4-1.
And the site plan is 9.2. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Question, is there anything outstanding in this?
You mean code issues?
Is everything
think there
clear
is.
on this? Is there any, it is? Who said that? Oh, okay, yes,
Oh, there's Corinne.
yes.
You know where you went.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
No.
Vice Mayor Odman?
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
So for 9.3, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
No.
Vice Mayor Odman?
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, 9.4 is,
Still. We have the whole group here.
who wants to think? Tom's turn.
Can't hear you, Tom.
9.4, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the request made by 2900 Southwest 45th Dania Beach LLC for a rezoning RZ 10319 and flexibility units allocation OT 16419 for properties generally located at 2900, get there in a second, sticky page, Southwest 45th Street in the City of Dania Beach as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to the ordinance, changing the current zoning classification of this property from single-family 6,000 residential district, RS 6,000, to planned residential development district, PRD 1, subject to certain restrictions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date, first reading, presented by Community Development Department.
Good evening, Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. The applicant is actually not in attendance this evening. He apologizes, he had a conflict and he wasn't able to make the meeting. This is the architect. He is requesting to continue this item to the March 10th. Right, this is for first reading.
We're here. We've been here
Yeah.
for hours. We're here.
Hold on. I didn't know that. I didn't know. That was the first I heard. Okay, since everybody's here, and I know you want to speak on it, I'm going to have each one of you, I'll call you up and you can come up and speak on it, okay? And then we'll have it heard next time. Sorry about that. I didn't know that. Eric Horbally. And I don't know if I pronounced your name properly.
That's fine.
Please state your name and address.
Eric Corbally, 4448 Southwest 28th Terrace. Are we going to have a hearing tonight with him not being here?
We're not going to have a hearing, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak, so this way you can tell us what you want to tell us about it, and we'll address it at the next meeting, presumably.
Well, me and my wife bought the house 3 years ago, beautiful neighborhood. We want to keep it residential. We bought the home, did our due diligence, and the property was zoned residential. And, 2 acres is not enough to put 16 properties on, flex units, when it's very easily enough to put 6 homes on the property. The traffic, is bad enough, obviously, we all know that in Dania, as everybody said. So I don't know how we could change this to a commercial-based property when there's no commercial in the area. There's only 2 exits out of the neighborhood as it is, which the streets are undersized as it is, and we have to stop off on the side of the road for cars to pass each other as it is. And then the other issue is none of our neighbors on either 2 of the other streets have been notified about this at all, only our street. And it's going to affect the whole neighborhood. So I don't know who was in charge of letting anybody know, but they didn't let anybody know. So I guess that's it.
Commissioner James?
Yes, I guess my question is to you and the rest of the commission. Is this a legality that we're not going to deal with this tonight? Or is this something that we have to vote on? Because I don't think a no-show constitutes my support at all. And
So you
they
wanna
have been
vote on
waiting here. I would like to vote on it. They've been
I
here
would
since
love to
7
vote on
o'clock. And I think that's, I need another question.
Let's find out the legalities.
Can we vote on it?
Well, again, you have a request to continue, and if you chose to deny the request to continue, then that's what you do.
My concern is that we didn't have any notice that they wanted to continue it until now.
It's a first reading. If it fails tonight, it fails completely.
Hold on, Robert's rules. Commissioner Brandon has her light on.
That's very disrespectful.
I agree.
And I think we should come and make our decision on it. I mean, come on. Would they come here for hot dogs? I ain't got no hot dogs and hamburgers. They're right, he's wrong. Throw him out. Not you.
You don't have your
I
light on, but
agree
did you want to say something?
with what Commissioner James said. She's right. That's so disrespectful. Did you get a phone call?
Come on up, Corinne.
Yeah, it's very, very clear about what happened.
Yeah, let's get a little more clarity as to what actually happened.
Good evening.
Good evening, because this wasn't continued before. This is the first time that we're hearing about it.
This is the first time I've heard of it, too. I looked around, the applicant wasn't here. We started sending emails. He apologized. There was some conflict. Because we just had a meeting last week at Planning and Zoning Board, because the Planning and Zoning Board met to make a recommendation to you. And I'm almost positive I went through the meeting dates then, too. So anyway, it was very last minute. We were kind of scrambling, too, trying to figure out where they were. I do have a presentation ready if you want me to present my staff report, but it is only first reading. It requires a second reading by you, second and final for adoption, and the site plan will be accompanying the second reading of the rezoning and flex.
Did you say the engineer is here?
No.
Oh.
He's not. I mean, I do have concerns.
Again,
There was no
there's one way
notice.
to do it, is to hear it on first reading, knowing you've had second reading to completely hear it, because it's going to come back if you choose to, and it could be dealt with then with a full public hearing.
But if we vote
If you
no.
vote now, it's gone.
It's gone.
And it's precluded for 2 years, right? At least. Is that the, I'm sorry?
I think it's
1 year? 1 year.
Okay, hold up. I don't want to have everybody talking.
If it's turned down on first reading, it can't come back for 1 year.
I want to make sure, though, if there's a legality issue here, if we can vote on this, and I just want to know what the implications are if we were to vote no on this tonight, if it failed tonight, and, I mean, would there be, are there going to be legal repercussions against the city?
When did you get the request to continue?
Tonight.
Or whatever it was? All right, so
Tonight.
there was no notice to the city or to the people. That was, they could have had somebody else here.
And I know we don't know what a
They could have
judge
had
will do. I know we don't know what, this will be a judge, so I know.
Again, my suggestion is to make sure it's processed, is you pass it on first reading, knowing you have a full, ample opportunity at second reading to deal with it. And then you can turn it down then, but it's.
But I think the concern that we all have, and I think I can speak for all of us on this, is that we have somebody who's violating the rules already and not even giving us ample notice as far as wanting to continue it. So that's a concern in
Well,
itself.
there is no particular rule on when you have to give the notice to continue, but this is clearly not ordinary to come
No.
at the last minute and do.
And, hold on. And it was, planning and zoning was last Wednesday. And the dates were addressed then.
This wasn't the Rod Finer one, right? That's a different one.
No, it's different.
Okay.
Well,
So back to my question.
my biggest concern obviously is implications for the city. I don't want to see something happen legally that could impact us.
If the person was on here and they didn't give us notice and it's been, they paid for the application to be here and all these people are here, it can go forward and you want to turn it down, you can turn it down.
Okay, so what I think we should have the presentation done,
And then can we vote?
and then we can, and let people speak, and then we can vote.
Okay,
I think that's fair, since everybody's here.
yeah.
So,
Everyone's
yes.
here, let's do the
Consensus?
presentation and then we'll vote.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, if
Yeah.
you could vote, because I
that's
want to
fine.
vote.
Okay, so why don't you do your presentation, and then, since we won't be continuing it, it appears, we all sit down, please. It's, instead of standing along the wall, get comfortable. You've been standing for hours. It's okay. Go ahead, Karen.
Good evening.
Okay.
I'm Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This application is for a rezoning request and assignment of flex units. The property is at 2900 Southwest 45th Street. The existing zoning on the site is single-family residential. The proposed zoning is planned residential development, the PRD zoning designation. There are no open violations on the property at this time. The applicant has had several meetings with the adjacent community of Hidden Harbors on multiple dates, and has also had a neighborhood meeting where we encourage them to reach out to property owners within 450 feet, because that's what we notice, and that occurred on February 18th. The subject property is located on the south side of the Dania Canal, north of Southwest 45th Street and west of Southwest 28th Terrace. The property is approximately 2 acres in size and currently has one single-family home on the property. The rezoning and flex application is being requested in preparation for the redevelopment of the site, and as I said, the site plan is pending and would meet second reading of this ordinance if it's passed this evening. This is the location of the property. You can see the canal is on the north, and there is Southwest 28th to the east of the site. Griffin Road would be very much down south, further down south of the site. The applicant is requesting to change the property from the RS 6000 zoning to the PRD zoning designation. The use on the property will be changing from the existing single-family home to the multifamily and single-family homes, which is requiring the change for the rezoning and for the flex, which I'll speak to in the next slide. The applicant has submitted that site plan and is proposing the redevelopment of the site with 12 townhomes and 4 single-family homes. There are criteria identified in the land development regulations for rezoning, and the applicant has addressed those criteria, and that should be provided in your package. The flex, as I stated previously, the applicant's requesting a total of 4 flex units, which would result in the overall development of the site with 16 units. That's the 12 townhomes and the 4 single-family homes. The Planning and Zoning Board did hear this last week, February 19th, and recommended approval of the request. And, yeah, that concludes my presentation. I'm available if you have any questions.
Yes. Could you go back to the site? I think I remember this because I was over there not too long ago. Yes, I remember y'all now. Yeah. Is Southwest 20, is that 26? Is that a one-way? I believe that's 28, that's what, 28? Okay.
We can't have you speaking from the audience, so just hold on, let her ask her question.
Corinne, is that a one, I believe that's a one-way, right?
It is narrow, and as part of the plat, the applicant is dedicating right-of-way towards that, towards the right-of-way, toward the
But it's
roadway.
currently it's a one-way.
I don't know, because homes.
I believe so. And it's
Well,
a dead end at the end of it.
I was going to say,
because
homes
it's-
have to get up, people have to drive that road to get to that house, so they have to drive back down to get out. But it is narrow.
Yeah, I was over there maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it is a one-way, and then this other street, I don't even know if that's Southwest 20, I guess it's
Folks,
Southwest
come on.
29.
I can't have you speaking from the audience. Just,
we know the area.
so do I, but let's let her ask her questions and let Corinne
That's
answer
another
them.
very narrow road. I just wanted to clarify, see if that was a one-way or not. And you're saying,
Well, I mean, there might be only one car that travels on it at any one time, but to go north to get to the house, you got to turn around and get south to get back out. So traffic is happening in both directions.
It's not a.
Maybe not at the same time, but it's happening.
I
on the
can
street.
speak to it because I live right over there. It's not a one-way, but they're very, very narrow streets. So, and you do have a tendency to have to pull over to let people pass you because they're very narrow streets, which is one of the reasons why we don't have sidewalks over there.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Rick? This is a public hearing. Anyone here to speak for or against? I know Richard Walser would like to speak.
Good evening,
Please.
Commissioners.
Name and address, please.
Richard Walser, 2809 Southwest 46th Street. I live right down the street from the proposed property. I moved into this area in 1992. It's a nice single-family home community, and I am dead set against changing a single-family home property into a high-density housing complex. As we just spoke earlier, the roads will not handle the traffic. If I understand it correctly, there's proposed something like 45 parking spaces in this community. I'm not against developments, but I'm strongly against high density, especially in our community where it's not safe. It's a public safety risk for all the traffic that's going to come in and out of there. All of us that are familiar with this neighborhood know that it's already dangerous with the way it's set up and the hustle and bustle with the stop sign there at the end of 46th Street and 28th Terrace, and it's only going to complicate it worse. The 29th Avenue exit is a very narrow lane. We currently have to pull over to allow each other to pass going in and out. And I can't imagine what it's going to look like in the mornings and the afternoon when these people are trying to come to and from work. The other thing is the people weren't notified for those impacted areas of these hearings or these meetings. We just got notice in the mail. The small few, I don't remember the number of residents, but it's probably less than 14 that actually notified of this impact. It's going to impact far more residents than what were notified of these hearings. We got notice in the mail yesterday for 3 more changes to this proposed property on March the 10th, and nobody else was notified of those changes. So Ms. James came in our neighborhood a couple weeks, as she said earlier, and we told her about it. She said she wasn't aware of it, but we expressed our concerns to her, and she goes, well, you need to show up for the meeting, and here we are. A lot of the people didn't show up because we told them of the meeting. We were under the impression that it got postponed until March 10th, and they didn't show up because they thought it was going to be up, but whatever. They're all against it. And my 3 minutes is probably up, but
Very close.
I got my point. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Minda?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you guys all for giving me the opportunity to speak. I want to be very clear on this. I have a small family, 7-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son. I've never attended a meeting like this before, which is to show you that, to me, this is actually a very important subject. I am very fortunate. This is my very first home. I have lived in Florida since I was 7 years old. I'm about to turn 40 in May. I am the house that is literally 2 houses south of that development. It is tough for us to be able to absorb this. I'm all about growth. You know, we all need to grow. I'm not sure that this is the best solution for our community. It took us a long time to find the perfect home that we have right now. Just before I came here, my wife is like, okay, well, we need to sell the house. That is a big statement. I'm in love with my house. I love my neighbors. I love my community. It's an actual community. Growing up as a child, one of my teachers says that we don't have communities anymore. You don't know who your neighbors are. I am very blessed to say that the people that I am surrounded by, some of them are over here, are very good people. We had a hurricane. I had a hole in my roof. I had 15, 20 people at my house to help me to be able to correct the situation that we needed to do. Everybody helped. Everybody chipped in. It is a dangerous situation to be able to have people, so many people in such a small confined area. It just is. To have the amount of people that we're planning on doing, if I don't know the exact numbers, if we're doing 46 parking spaces or what the exact details are. I will share with you that this is, and I know that my time is short, so I'm willing to sacrifice my time, but before I do, in just a second, I want you guys to be aware that it is a public safety issue. To have too many people confined in such a small area does raise concerns. 7-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son, you know, that's a big deal for me to be able to feel safe with them wanting to be able to walk up and down the street, cross the street. Try telling a 7-year-old to look both ways, and if we have cars that are going to be trafficking rather quickly and a lot more on a regular basis, that's a concern of mine. This is Juliana. She is my neighbor. She is my friend. She is 9 years old, and she is a very brave young lady who has something that she would like to say.
I am against this because I don't want kids to not be able to ride their bikes and stuff because parents waste their money on things, and if there's too much traffic, then the kids won't be able to ride them. And
Thank you.
So to be clear, that's coming from her.
Okay, can I just get?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, her
Yes,
name and
ma'am.
address, because he's going to need it for the record. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what? No, hers.
Your name?
You didn't either? Oh, he did. I thought he did.
Juliana?
No, your name and address. We didn't.
Joseph Menda, 4541 Southwest 28th Terrace.
And we need hers as well, since she spoke.
Juliana, what's your last name?
Genevieve.
Genevieve.
And her,
Okay.
what's your address?
4609 Southwest 28th Avenue.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we come to the right decision.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak for or against? And if not, I need to ask, I need to ask Corinne a question or make a statement. I'm familiar with this. I live in the neighborhood. I can tell you that I know you're being told that there was a residential meeting. Do you know who the residents were that they met with? Because I don't believe it was any of these folks.
No, they said that there weren't many people. There was 2 or 3 people in attendance.
Do you know who they sent out the notices to and how they delivered them?
No, I instructed them to mail the same the notices that we mail within 450 feet.
Right.
That's what I instructed them to do.
Okay. And I know that these homes, at least a couple of them, are within that radius.
Yes.
Can
I make
Go ahead.
2 points?
Go ahead.
I'm kind of in a difficult situation. I don't want to sell the project at all, but you don't have the benefit of the site plan, and the access for the project is off of 45th Street. So it's not going down that road that is substandard today. It would be off of 45th Street. And in addition to that, the property today is zoned single-family. They're only asking for 4 flex units. The rezoning is to allow the townhomes. So if they did not rezone, they could build 12 single-family homes on that property because it's 2 acres. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, so there are other options for that.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And no one else here to speak for or against, correct? Okay. Do I have a motion? Anyone?
I guess I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to reject this.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Brandimart,
If
Yes,
it's a
for
motion to
reject.
deny it, basically,
Yes.
so.
Yes,
Yes.
motion to deny.
Good.
was that a yes?
That was a yes.
Sorry. Commissioner Harris? Yes. Commissioner James?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Odman?
Yes.
Mayor Llewellyn?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, next, no, that's enough of the clapping. Okay, next is, can we just take a moment, because we all got some very bad news while we were sitting up here, and we just found out that the mayor of Wilton Manors, Justin Flippin, has passed away very suddenly. And we all kind of just found out at the same time up here, so. Do we need a minute, or can we keep going?
We can keep going.
Okay, all right.
If Justin could talk, he'd say, keep your meeting going, Maya.
I know he
Keep it
would.
going.
I know he would. So, okay. Okay. Next item is discussion and possible action. First item is decorum policy from Vice Mayor Odman.
Well, I didn't really want to speak right now, but, okay. So, the decorum policy, it's in your backup. I'm not married to any of the specific sentences, if there's anything any of my colleagues would like to change. But I felt it was really best practice to, if we're going to expect, everyone to be on the same page and playing by the same rules, that we provide those rules, so that really we're fully transparent in what the expectations are. Sometimes when we have our meetings and there's a contentious item and certain people are disappointed with what we're saying or the vote, and they're hissing at one of us or this or that, and having to tell them, listen, you can't hiss, and my ego most certainly enjoys the applause. We can't really have applause either. And just putting those rules on paper so that everyone is in agreement. And I wanted to make sure that I had buy-in from my colleagues for us to include them. City Attorney, where were we going to put these words? Was this going to go in the front of the agenda?
That is correct. It'd be at the top of the agenda where you have all the other notices about disabilities, people with hearing difficulties, and it
Okay.
would be printed on the very top.
All right, so that's in line with what I observed at several other cities. Hollywood used to do it. I'm not sure if they still do. They would staple it onto the first page of their agenda. Several other cities in Broward and Dade do something very similar, where they put it in either the first paragraph of their agenda or attached to the back. Again, I'm not married to either of those. But I just wanted to, again, make sure that I had buy-in from my colleagues to move forward with that so that everyone knew the expectations.
I have a couple of questions
Sure.
for you. I'm glad that you put this together.
Mhm.
Thank you. I kind of feel like we need something more than just in the front of the agenda.
The other option that the Vice Mayor had proposed was, in addition to that, it could be, we could have handouts at the front desk when you pick up your citizens' comments. You would pick one up, then we'd have to hand them out to all the other people who are not making citizens' comments. So they could be handed out to everybody each time they come in the room. I don't know if that's difficult to manage, but that's one way, additional way to do it.
I'm wondering if there might be something that we could post
Or-
somewhere as well, so that when
You could actually post it up on the screen before we
maybe put
start.
it on the screen, that
Yeah,
might be
right.
good. My other question, and this is a legal concern again, is although we know we've had issues with disruptive behavior and we have had to remove people, I'm always wary of First Amendment concerns. And I want to make sure that we are not censoring people because, other cities have had issues with that. I don't want us to be one of those cities, so I just want to make sure that we're not stomping on anyone's rights.
I've looked pretty carefully into that because I've dealt with it over the years. And it's No one wants to have the ability where someone begins to be disruptive and they're told to stop, and then they're told again to stop. You don't get like 3 bites at the apple.
Right.
So once they're told to stop being disruptive, and if they persist, you then admonish them, you will be removed if you persist. At that point, if they do persist, the police remove the person from the room, and they can be arrested. That's the last thing you want to do, but it gives them the opportunity to stop doing the disruptive behavior. There are a number of cases where that's been upheld in the courts, federal and state courts, and that's permissible. Another one of these things is we've talked about, even though people like to do it, and it's common, they like to either boo or hiss or clap.
Right.
You could ask in the beginning.
We've seen it tonight.
Yeah, and we understand that. But
Yeah.
again, to ensure that you keep the decorum, that's the intent of it,
Right.
is that you would ask for none of that to happen, none of the disruptive behavior. You understand why it does happen, but you can admonish people, please do not do that, as you've done a couple times tonight.
Right. And my again, it goes back to making sure that people understand and know, because, for example, we have people here tonight that never come to a meeting, and they don't necessarily know how things work, and I understand that. So, there are people that come all the time, and they do understand, but then there are a lot of people, I mean, this happens, things come up, and people come up, and they've never done this before. So I just want to make sure, I think we need to have multiple places where it's available, whether it's on the screen,
Also the
whether
table?
it's
What do you
maybe,
think about putting
I
it
thought
on
about
the
the
table?
table or against the wall, or,
On the table, I think would be a good place to post it, and then we can also have that
On the screen.
on the screen. I know we have the census right now, which I like, but maybe when it's outside of the census time, we could have that there, and then I think also, so reinforcing it in 3 different places, I think.
and I could actually reinforce it when we start the meeting as well, and make sure people know. Yes. Okay. Then I'm good. Let's see, I'm not sure who was first. I'm sorry, Commissioner James?
Yes, just put a sign on the door if that's what you all want to do. But the sign, it doesn't matter where you put the sign if you're not going to enforce it. And I think that has been the biggest issue here, is the inconsistencies in enforcing the expectations of decorum here. I mean, I've been yelled at several times here over the last 2 years, and there was never a threat to kick anyone out. And so I think that if we are going to do this, we have to make sure that it is being enforced properly, the same way to anyone, regardless if it's my friend, your friend, his friend, her friend, whatever it is. They have to get the same considerations. If it's 1 warning and you're out, it's 1 warning and you're out. If it's 2 warnings and you're out, whatever we come up with, we have to stick by it. And I'm not sure who's going to do the enforcing, if it's the city attorney or whoever it is, but it has to be enforced. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Absolutely, Commissioner.
and-
I mean, that was kind of the first step in doing
Through
it.
the-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, and, well, I don't think that's, and if we have a policy in place, then at least we can follow it and make sure that it's followed. We've had a problem with that with several things, so, and I think that will address it. Commissioner Brandamari, did you have something?
Yeah, I think the whole thing stinks.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. If people want to show that they're happy with a decision we made, so what if they clap? That doesn't bother me. Silencing the people is something that's not what America's about. It's not, and that's not what we fight for. And thank you for wearing your Trump hat. I'm with you. Next thing I want you to know is, but there's one thing that I stand on, and that's this one sentence here, and it isn't even written right. It says, comments are only to be made to the city commission and are not to be directed to the audience. Now, where we've been having our problem is we'll say, you come up here, right? I want to direct my conversation to you, Lauren. That's wrong. That's wrong of anybody. If you want to direct it to Lauren specifically, call her on the telephone. Don't come here to do it. That, to me, is when you're disrespecting a commissioner, when you come up to the mic and say, oh, Chicky, this is because of, and bring it out. And that's the one that's missing. That's the only thing that isn't in here, and that's the most important one of all that we've seen in the last week. Or they go, oh, Mayor Llewellyn, when you came at, do not address the mayor. Do not address Commissioner James. So what? She's in your neighborhood. that's fine. Say a commissioner. But when you call us by names, or you come up here to even curse us out by a name, that's wrong. But to silence you, I'll never agree with that. So they can enforce all these rules they want. I've never seen a cop escort anybody out, and if they do, I think you should file and sue the city. And that's my honest opinion.
I'd like to respond, but I'll let Vice Mayor go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and I really appreciate everyone's feedback, and certainly this is not an attempt to enforce any kind of draconian policy to silence any of you, and I certainly don't want to arrest any of you. That's not the goal. The goal is just to make for a more orderly meeting, and all of these, this small amount of verbiage is very much in line with what you see in both counties. But I'll definitely, the feedback is helpful, and we can certainly tweak a few sentences. But do I have consensus at this time to move forward with having the city attorney draft this for our next agenda?
Yes, for me.
Yes? Yes,
Yeah.
okay, thank you very much.
I didn't answer. Didn't answer.
we already
Not
have
unless they
enough.
add to it what I said about using your name specifically.
I will-
You of all people should be for it because it happened to you 2 meetings ago and it was wrong. Do you agree on that?
Yes, I agree, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Can't even stick up for her and her understand it.
Okay.
Does it
Okay.
does it have to be a resolution or ordinance, or are you just gonna?
I was going to propose it as the policy that you see, to clarify what Commissioner Brandimari wants in it, and I'll bring it back for consensus
Okay.
approval. And we'll have it in the minutes that it was approved that way.
Okay. All right. So the next item is number 2, policy for proclamations and keys from Commissioner James. Before you get started, I just want to ask, well, go ahead and say what you want to say. My concern is this. I just got your backup late this afternoon. I know it was emailed to us, I think, early this afternoon, but I was indisposed and I wasn't able to see it until about 5:30. I appreciate you putting that together. I really do. I just think that it might be an opportunity, and I've actually been working with the city attorney to try to put something together as well, but we've had some issues with it. And I was going to suggest that if we could all get an opportunity to review it and put it on the next agenda to discuss it, since I literally just got it, I think at, it's 5:30, 5:45, and I haven't really had time to even look at it.
Sure. So if I would have spoke, I'm telling you all that this is something that I want to bring back as a resolution, and that I wanted to get any additional feedback so that it could be implemented in this. This is not something that I was expecting that was just going to be passed today. It was just something that I had put together. I saw what some other cities had done, and made a few changes to the different policies, but so that we could all be on the same page. If there were anything that you wanted to add or take away or amend to what's already here, I can then bring this back as a resolution so that it can formally be voted on.
Sure, so we could discuss it at the next meeting.
Sure.
Or,
If you have anyone else that's up here, if you had a chance to look at it, or if you wanted anything off the top of your head to be included in it, I can tell you if it's in there or not, so I can bring something back that's inclusive of what some of you all may have right now. And then if it's something else that needs to be added to the resolution when it comes back, you could just amend it there and add it there.
Commissioner Brandimari?
Oh, I could tell you one right now. The word dignitaries. Take it out and put in citizens.
Where are you?
In the one that says, give a key to the city to a dignitary of unique and recognizable county, state, national, and international stature, who cares?
So you don't want to give them to any dignitaries?
I don't want to give anything to dignitaries. I want to give it to the people that pay our taxes.
But that's B.
Yeah, I know, but I want B turned to A.
I'm confused.
Okay, let me tell you.
You want me to delete A
If
and
there's
just
a
keep?
person who's a sergeant because he has a badge or he's so wonderful and all, that's what he's doing and he gets paid for. I want to give out a key to the city to someone who isn't a dignitary, but an ordinary worker like him?
You can, that's,
Okay, well,
All
again,
right, then I'm going to change it.
then, Commissioner Brandemarty,
Yes, dear.
I'm asking,
Yes.
because you're doing exactly what I'm asking that we do at the next meeting, because I don't know if you've read this yet.
Then no,
I
I
have
haven't
not.
read it.
I have not read it yet. And it's 2 pages, almost single spaced.
There's a back?
Yeah, there's a back to it as
No,
well.
I need
So,
time.
right.
so that's fine, but
that's all.
I want to answer your question. Are you asking that you want the citizens to be first and then the dignitaries to be second?
No, I don't believe in giving the keys to another mayor or a dignitary. I really don't. They got their own keys to their own city.
Okay,
We can take everybody in God's creation.
if 3 people want to take that out, that's fine.
I just don't.
Well, I don't think we should be voting on it yet, because like I said, we haven't all read it.
We're not voting on
But even-
anything. I
right.
brought this here for discussion. Regardless if I brought it here for discussion. That's it. We're just discussing it. We're not passing anything tonight, but it's on the agenda because I wanted to discuss it with you all. And even if I had nothing here, I would still want to discuss what your thoughts were. I just thought that I would be proactive and bring something that, maybe,
follow.
or even if you're not following it, you can still give me your feedback on what you think, it should include or not include. I'm not saying that we need to go through this word for word tonight.
Good.
Vice Mayor?
I don't have much of a life, so I did go through and read the whole thing. I felt it was very well written, and you seem to hit all the marks. I do agree with keeping Section 1A. Perhaps we should put B before A, but beyond that, I think you really hit everything on there, and I look forward to discussing it more at the next meeting. Thank you for putting that together, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And again, what I would like to do is I would like to review this. I'd also like to look at, because there were a number of policies, protocols, what have you, from different cities that I have also pulled. I just got some additional ones today that I wanted to look at, because quite frankly, I'm not crazy about a lot of the ones that I did see. And a lot of cities don't even have them, which I think I said a long time ago when we had this first discussion. But I don't really think I'm not prepared to sit and discuss everything as far as what should be included and what should not be included. And I think that it would be more appropriate for us to table this, come back next time. If we have suggestions, perhaps we can send them, I don't know, to the city attorney or what have you, or we can address those suggestions at the next meeting.
Okay, well, my suggestion for my item would be to, we're not voting on it tonight, but if you all have other suggestions throughout this next week, please send them to Tom. I'll get with Tom, and I will bring this back as an item to be voted on at the next meeting.
Okay, if you wish, we discovered from other cities, first time we read, the clerk's office wrote out to other cities, asking them to respond by email. Only 2 did, 3
Right,
did. Then we asked to call. The mayor said, let's call the people because they're not doing it. And now we have about a total of 8. I will send all 8 to each of you so you can just see what other people do. Some are very short, some are very lengthy, and you can sort of pick. Some things have good ideas, and by the time we come back in 2 weeks, and I'll work with Ms. Tamara to do that. We'll just come back with something she proposes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So next item is commission comments.
No, it's Southwest 40th.
Oh, I'm
Court.
sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry. Southwest 54th Court speed humps, Commissioner James.
Yes, I just wanted to have approval for the commission for staff to put a few speed humps on that road. I'm not sure when, I know the vote was in favor for the project. I'm not sure when they're going to start. But again, that area is of great concern, and I want to make sure that we're putting the right type of speed humps in. But I also wanted to not wait until we correct all the number of speed humps that are already there. I wanted to know if this is something that you all would support, that staff can go and put those speed humps there as soon as they can.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
City Manager.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure that you can guys do a draft and support. And if we can not to exceed amount to be able to do them and do them right. so to be able to receive the funding.
Making sure that they're within compliance.
Yeah, so we can move forward.
Sure, what's the not to exceed amount that you think we're going to need?
10 grand. If you want to do two, and you want to look at the possibility of doing two, it would be a not to exceed $10,000.
Okay. Do we have consensus on that?
I'm okay with it.
Yes.
I'm fine with that. That's fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Now, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Brandon-Marty.
I only have one comment. I don't know if any of you picked up on it at the very beginning of the meeting, but I did not like the comment of Dania Point Beach. This is Dania Beach, not Dania Point Beach. Kim, the T-shirts that are out there, it doesn't have our logo on it, right?
I don't know.
It's a Dania Point logo on it? They have their own logo. That one that's there, okay, but I don't want to be referred to in here as Dania Point Beach because there's no such place.
Okay.
That's it.
Commissioner Harris.
I had the pleasure of being on a panel last Friday at Tropical Acres for the South Florida Board of Realtors, which was a good interaction between elected officials in Sunrise, Plantation, Davie, Dania Beach, and Hallandale Beach. So it was just talking to a room full of realtors about development and growth in South Florida. It was a good interaction. They asked the really good questions. With the MPO, the Elected Officials Roundtable has been renamed to the Metropolitan Transportation Engineering and Construction Cooperative. So we have our first meeting on Friday, and that's to speed up the one penny sales tax initiative. And just cooperative means if we're going to replace sidewalks down to Sheridan Street and US 1, that we use that Hollywood or whoever uses the same contractor going forward, so each and every project doesn't have to be bid out and you have to wait. On April the 22nd, there's a transportation summit at La Meridian Hotel, which is open to the public. Anyone's interested in transportation and traffic, now's the time. And I attended the Sunday service of the 111th anniversary of Mount Zion Church, it was a lively spiritual service and well attended, so I'm glad I was there. That's it. Thanks everybody for staying late. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming.
Commissioner James?
Yes, just a few things. I am a little confused about this joint meeting that was canceled, but I want to make sure whenever we reissue the date, that it's a date that we can all make and not just put a date out there and say this is the other date, because I definitely want to be there. I want to thank Parks and Recreation for really jumping on their Youth Advisory Council. The numbers have grown in just one meeting, and I look forward to it continuing to expand. And tomorrow I will be at the Hispanic Vote at Tropical Acres at 7 o'clock. And so see you all there.
Vice Mayor?
So I don't think many of you ever met Justin Flippin. Maybe some of this side did. He was really a nice human being and a really cool politician. And most politicians really are awful people sometimes. They're terrible. They're the worst. And he was like one of those guys who was really good and nice and very passionate about Wilton Manors. He really liked being mayor.
Young.
He was young. He just worked out 2 days ago. I mean, he was like healthy and he was really nice and good, and he was a good mayor. And we really liked hanging out with him. He was on Broward League, which Bill and I attend, and he was a fun person to have at your table. I sometimes don't like going to them because they can be very boring, and he would be very funny, and he would do funny things that other people at the table didn't do, and he thought my jokes were funny, so I liked him. And that's it. I just thought maybe you'd like to know a little bit about about Justin. Thank you for staying.
And I concur with everything she just said about Justin. He's a wonderful human being. I don't really have, I honestly, I'm very tired tonight. I apologize. I've had some, my husband's not well right now, so I've been not really sleeping very well. So in any event, I'm going to skip my comments tonight and move on to the next. So thank you. Appointments? City clerk? Or no, not city clerk. I'm sorry. I'm confused. See, I told you I'm tired tonight. I'm tired. Appointments. Complete count advisory committee. Does anybody have anybody? I do. I promised I would. I have somebody.
I know I broke my promise, go.
Gary Emerson Scott from St. Ruth's. I do not. Do you need his business address or his home address? I will get that for you. Anyone else? No one? Creative Arts Council Advisory Board, do we have anybody? Commissioner Harris? General Employees Pension Board, anyone? Green Advisory Board, Vice Mayor?
I'm going to give mine to Commissioner Brandemarty.
And she has somebody?
Question, is Carol Stockrocki on that board? No.
I believe she moved out of town.
Oh, that's right. No, she's a city employee. She's a city employee. Can't use her. Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Administrative reports, city manager. Sorry.
No, thank
Skipping
you,
over. It's a
Mayor.
rough night. It's a rough night tonight.
My deepest condolences to the family and the loved ones of Mayor Flippin from Wilton Manors. Had the opportunity to meet him this year at an event at his city, and he was truly welcoming me to Broward into his city. So life is so fragile that from one day to another, someone that's 41 years old just passes. So with that said, I'm going to keep my report pretty brief. I want to thank my city team. Please take a look at the detailed reports that they provide for you once a month. We are running on all cylinders, and this team is doing a fantastic job. With that said, I want to thank Commissioner James and Mayor Llewellyn. I know that when they were at the conference a couple of months ago, they brought to my attention this youth advisory board, and immediately we met Commissioner James and our Parks and Rec director, and it's up and coming, and it's evolving, and it's a really good program for our youth, and we really look forward to setting the example for the rest of South Florida, how a diverse group of young men and women can work together for the greater good of the city. So we are very excited to start our first ever strategic plan. And at last meeting, Commissioner Brandy Martin was in here. So I have asked the contractor to give us 3 brand new dates. And your 1-hour phone conversations will be scheduled via our assistant, Chris Lockyer. So there's 3 specific days that'll give us plenty of time. And I'll bring you the rest of my report at our next commission meeting. But grateful for all your support in being able to serve the great people of Dania Beach. Thank you.
City Attorney?
I had sent to the commission, I think about 2 weeks ago, implementation steps for the Art in Public Places ordinance. So if you want to put that on for a discussion soon, it tells you the next steps. So you want to do is either use the Creative Arts Council or create your own board. That the funds are already being collected since February 10th for any new projects, is the way I understand it, as part of the permit fees. So monies will begin to accrue, but you might want to start to get the process in place.
So can we put it as a discussion?
You could put it
possible
as,
action?
yeah, we were talking about next meeting or soon.
I think we should put that on the next meeting.
That'd be fine.
Get it done.
And we have a new assistant city attorney starting on next Monday, Eve Bootses, who has a lot of municipal experience. So I'll bring her around to make sure I'm introduced to you. But I thank you for funding that position. It's going to be a big help to all of us. Thank you.
City Clerk, reminders?
Upcoming meeting reminders, Tuesday, March 10 at 5:30, you have a CRA board meeting, followed by your regular city commission meeting at 7 p.m. That's all.
Okay, thank you all for staying, and those of you who haven't been here before, thanks for joining us. We're adjourned.
Hey, good Friday.
Thank you for everything. Great job.
Man, my first time going upstairs was today. I want to kick those commissioners out and put them in my building and let me move over here. Manager, you got to see what I'm in. I don't complain. I'm not going to complain, but to see that, me and my two staff, we can take a look. I mean,
Listen, any new plan for any new city hall or the redevelopment of this is going to include an executive office from my personal record.
okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Do not even for a minute think that you're not going to be here with me.
Okay, because I went over there and I'm walking around today and I'm like,
All that usable space, and we're cleaning it up. Yeah.
I'm like, not getting this. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Bye. Yeah, I ain't coming.